Well, howdy there, goobers. How are you? It's another show. We're doing another show. This sounds like Night in the Woods music. All of my music has been sourced from the YouTube Creator Library. So I know Bean Cream Tween, you were asking earlier, the songs today in order were called Underwater Exploration, Dolphin Esque, and Eternal Garden. And yeah, you can just find them on the Creative Library. They're Creative Commons, I'm pretty sure, all of them. So yeah. Hello, Drea. Hello, Baphomet. Hi, Fen. Hi, Reed. On time. Good going. So proud of you for being on time. Why? My hair is curling the opposite direction. I think I set it up to curl out, but it's curling in. Why are you do this? Why? Why curly hair? Why are you so unpredictable? Ah! Okay. Anyway, hi. I feel kind of strange, like I woke up high but didn't do any drugs. That's alarming to some extent. Make sure you take it easy and, keep track of your other symptoms. See if you might be sick or something. Concern. I just got done stuffing my face with sour cream and onion chips. So hopefully I won't have any of that, like, oh, I'm hungry. You guys are making me hungry. Nah, 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 nah. It's not uncopyrighted, but I'm pretty sure video game music doesn't have the same issues with using it on YouTube videos and streams and such. I have had this before so I tried to play this game Euphoria HD on stream and it did get caught up. I don't like it was I think it was basically like it was a pack that the game publisher had purchased or something. I don't know, but it's like not a guarantee to use video game music and have it not catch your shit. So, yeah. Fun times. Hello, Mountain Eucalyptus. Yeah. It was like a little indie game that I guess it had purchased a music pack and then it was like being recognized in my stream because it was like, I guess, not the intellectual property of the video game. It was someone else's music. I don't know. I just try not to fuck with it too much. When I put music on my streams, I just try to do it from the YouTube library because then I'm like, it's confirmed there is a, you know, indefinite Creative Commons license involved here. Hello, Cursed Chaos. Welcome, everybody. It would be really strange to me if OSTs made for a game would be in the Content ID system. Yeah, I don't know. I just have never I've never used video game music. I try to do like I don't like behind the scenes creator stuff. Obviously, you try to stay on the good side of the ID system. Like, okay, I'm going to make sure that everything has a license. It's a license through YouTube. So, obviously that's a little bit limiting in that like there's literally only so much music. Especially only so much free music, but yeah, hello, Viren. Reed in the YouTube chat says, yet another liberal relative of mine was transphobic today. She tried to discourage me from getting the surgery I want. It's cringe. Why do people, well, like, seriously, I don't really get why people are so invested in someone else getting a surgery that they want. Like, how about you shut up? How about you leave me alone? Anyway. Undertale on Deltarune music. Yeah, let me just play like what is that one called? Just I can just I'll just do it myself, before stream starts. I'll just be like, is that the spider one? That's what I was trying to get to. I was trying to do the spider one, but then it's like Bone Trousel gets mixed up in there sometimes. I don't know. Anyway. What if I pull it up on the guitar? I'll just play You Home on the guitar. I don't actually know if my microphone can pick up guitar. I was doing spiders. Yes, I meant to do spiders. Yas Queens. Anyway, the song that might play when you fight Sans. No, it was not Megalovania. Megalovania is like insane. I can't remember it right now. Yes, Spider Dance. That's the one that I was trying to do. Yeah, if you just sang it from memory, that would be very funny. I hate it when I have a song stuck in my head but can't remember enough lyrics or the song name to look it up. Anytime you have instrumentals or classical music stuck in your head, it's like good luck, okay? Good luck, babe. Switch into a little chaperone there. Hey, by the way, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. This is the critical part of the show where we can try to get more viewers in here, and we always get more clicks as soon as you hit the like button. If I ever do video essays, I'm using Night in the Woods music. Yeah, for sure. It's just whatever fits the mood, right? Speaking of video essays, I did do a video essay recording today. Technically, it was not an essay. It was more like, because some people had suggested that I could still do some off the cuff content instead of switching completely to scripted. So I'm kind of planning on doing like every other video. So this one was more off the cuff. I did have notes that I took, but it was more off the cuff. And then when I get done with this one, I'll switch back and do another scripted essay. And I'm in the middle of moving, so honestly, a lot of these things are probably going to be later than I want them to be, but shit happens. I didn't know about Chaperone until this year. Me neither. I kind of just discovered her a couple months ago, or like within the past month or so, I don't know. So I've spent a lot of time listening to her. The lesbianism just keeps increasing, just keeps going up. Feels nice to have a haircut. Just did my little haircut thing yesterday. I always end up cutting off hair that I don't mean to, but you know, we're doing what we can. It feels so nice. Like, I get so warm, and so it feels really nice to just be like, okay, if my hands are cold, I can put them against my head and then it cools me down. Oh man, it feels incredible. Ah. So, yep, we're having a good time. I need to recenter, or uncenter myself, I should say. Put myself back over here. Hello, Faith. Also need a haircut? Yeah, Chapel does seem like a cool person. Ooh, I'm excited to report that I'm applying for an apartment. I'm applying for a rental this week. So it kind of depends on everybody. Obviously, it's like the holidays next week, so I'm just trying to hopefully get this all done by the end of next week, basically. And then I'll be able to move at the end of January. So that's very exciting and scary. Pink Pony Club is a great song, but it really makes me sad. Aw, why? I love Pink Pony Club. Pink Pony Club. I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pony Club. I like it. It's cute. I'm not a lesbian or even a woman for that matter, but I listened to Good Luck Babe, and suddenly, for a few minutes, I am both of those things and sad about my heterosexual relationship. And then the song ends, and I'm a gay guy again. Yeah, same. I'm like, obviously, I'm married to a cis man, and I love him very much. But while I'm listening to Chapel Roan, and I'm like not a woman, I'm non-binary. But when I'm listening to Chapel Roan, I'm definitely a non-binary lesbian. That's what happens. Yes, yay for having housing, and like yay for making the progress. Because like I already told my current landlord that I'm moving out because they asked for that information like last month. So I'm definitely like I'm in that middle space where you've told one place that you are moving out, but you don't yet have your next address figured out. So I'm feeling a lot of pressure to like make sure it gets done, even though I think there are a lot of places that are like within a couple of weeks or even within a month. that's like the expected timeline. But I have always been the kind of person who's like, I want this figured out much sooner than that. So, like, this might not even be the perfect place. Maybe the perfect place is going to be showing itself as being for rent, like on January 3rd. That's when the listing is going to go up for whatever the perfect place is. But your boy's not waiting that long. I'm going to try to get through the application, like, basically before the end of this weekend. And just, yeah, try to get it locked in next week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do so, but I am definitely going to try. And if the application gets denied, I'm going to call and be like, hey, is there anything else that we can do? Can we work around it? Like, I really would like to have that figured out and have my place to live. I don't know what's happening with my hair right now. I think the way that I put it up last night, it's like curving in a weird way that is making it like stick out on the side of my head. So I'm just going to have this weird little hair thing happening throughout this stream. That's great. Yes, as long as you have enough to be stable. Yes, for sure. So just getting there, that's the first step. Just getting there and getting into a place that will let me store my belongings. Oh man, it's getting so real. Like, guys, we have 1 week until Christmas, okay? It's 1 week until Christmas. And then if I get this particular one, which has a move in at the end of January, it's basically like a month from Christmas that I'm going to be departing Kansas with a fat stacked U-Haul. So yeah, I'm it's getting exciting and scary. So that's kind of my personal news. Also, if you weren't here before, we will be streaming on Sunday this week, but then we will not be streaming on Christmas. I'm going to take Christmas Day as like a relaxation day, and then I'll probably make like a nice Christmas dinner. And that's kind of my plan for that. But we will stream on New Year's Day. And then the day after New Year's Day, I'm getting my tooth pulled. So then I'll kind of decide whether or not I'm streaming the following Sunday. And then at some point in January, I'm going to throw like a big goodbye stream. And I do not know how long I'm going to be off stream because I also have to get a new desk at my new place. So I'm going to have to order a desk and have them send it to my new place. There might be like a floor stream where my computer is set up and it's just on the floor. I don't know. We will find out. It's not Megalovania. That wasn't Megalovania. I can't even remember how Megalovania goes right now. We're way past that, though. Take lots of road trip pics. Maybe. I'm not sure. My partner and I were talking about this. I was like, should we treat this like a road trip where we make stops, or should we treat it like a job and just get it done? And he was like, let's just treat it like a job. Let's just fucking go. And I'm like, perfect sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me. He's the one who has offered to do most of the driving because he's already familiar with driving large vehicles. So I think that he's just going to be more comfortable being the one in the driver's seat. And I'm like, all right, fine. It's easy for me to just, I'll be a passenger. I'll make sure that I have the navigation figured out. The thing that I'm really trying to decide, Andrea, I might message you later to ask about this, but I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do 3 like 12-hour days or if we're going to try to do 4 slightly shorter days. But a big part of that is trying to figure out like where can you stop? Like where is going to be a safe place to stop on the way out? You know? Like do I really want to want to stop in Albuquerque or a smaller town that's closer than Albuquerque? Because if I just go straight from Kansas City to Albuquerque, that's a 13-hour day, you know? Have you seen the Lamborghini tooth pull in Jackass? No, I have not. I have a dilemma. I don't know if I'll be able to move without severely struggling financially. I'm on the fence about whether or not I should finish my degree before moving. Yeah, I mean, I think that No, you're not wrong, Drea, but I'm just trying to figure out like what is a good plan as far as like, are we really going to be able to even do the 12 to 13-hour days? We're going to have to stop and stretch our legs and go pee every couple hours. And like, it's also going to be January, which means that if we do 12 to 13-hour days, we're going to be stopping. We're going to be driving at nighttime, which also kind of freaks me out. Like driving across the country in a U-Haul at nighttime. And like, yeah, obviously we're going to be exhausted at the end of it kind of regardless. And the shorter the drive part is, then the better that is for my cat. I did get him some gabapentin, so I'm going to have to give him some of that soon and see how he reacts to it, because apparently some cats get hyperactive instead of chill on gabapentin. So anyway, yeah, sorry, Reed. You, if you're already in school, finishing your degree could be a good thing, or if you can get your credits transferred and finish it somewhere else. But like, I think that most people, when they move, big move, there is some period of financial struggle. You know, I'm even anticipating potentially having um, like a little bit of a struggle just because it drains your savings and then you don't have any savings and like trying to find a new job. All that is pretty difficult. But yeah, just you have to assess it for yourself and like expect that there probably is going to be a pretty rocky transition. Driving fatigue is probably a bigger risk to your physical safety than staying in a podunk town. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I had to help my friend move to New Jersey with all of his reptile tanks at night because his roommates are abusive and problematic. Ooh, yes. It's good to be out of that situation. Yeah, Ari, I cut my own hair. I don't really love doing it, like, because I feel like I always mess something up. Like, I cut hair that I didn't mean to cut, and I'm like trying to get these lines straighter. But it is convenient to not have to go have someone cut my hair. I don't know what my mom saw on Facebook, but she's anti vax now. Like, oh, hell no, I'm not getting any new vaccines. They were only harmful anyway, clearly referring to COVID. Ugh. There was like AstraZeneca had a COVID vaccine that did mess some people up. And generally speaking, the COVID vaccines can cause myocarditis, but so can fucking COVID. Like anything that the COVID vaccine can do to you, COVID can do to you many times over. So I don't really understand. Like, yeah, every decision that you make medically has some risks. Vaccine injury is something that is a very rare thing. Sometimes you might get an allergic reaction or the pericarditis. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems dumb. It's like, I know what COVID can do. I have not seen COVID vaccines doing what COVID can do. Anyway, it's really dumb. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, I just cut it. It's nice. It's enjoyable. It's curly. This is something approximating my natural curls. I mean, this is basically my natural curls. It's just, dialing them in. So that's kind of what's going on with me right now. I'm excited for Christmas. I went stocking shopping this week. So that's kind of all we're doing is like stockings. And then like I also purchased a couple of smaller gifts. Like they're too big to go in the stockings, but they're like still pretty small. So I'm going to wrap those. They're actually on the floor. Why so many hiccups and burps just then? It's actually on the floor in my office. The gifts that I'm going to wrap. So I'll probably take the time to do that in the next couple of days. I have my tiny tree that's about a foot tall, and I did hang a couple of we don't have very many ornaments, but I went ahead and hung a couple ornaments on there. And then I'll go ahead and take the presents after I wrap them and put them near the tree. I went yarn shopping because that's my life now. Awesome, Faith. I have been trying to use up some of my yarn, uh, just because I'm like, well, I have so much yarn. It's probably not as much as some people, but I definitely have a lot of yarn as a person who does crochet. I would really love to get a full set of knitting needles because I kind of want to learn how to knit. It's like I would like to be able to make socks and other stuff that you can't make with crochet. So I find it the strangest feeling of weightlessness post haircut. I didn't have very much hair. I just shaved. It was like maybe an inch and a half. My hair was about an inch and a half long on the sides. So, and then my hair has been falling out a lot lately, which I think is why it feels like the growth has stalled and like my hair used to be a lot longer. I like cut it once and now I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like it's getting any longer. But also again, I'm curling it and or letting it be curly. So if it was straighter, yeah, it would be down to my nipple almost. Mm. I'm just waiting on some gifts to come in so that I can get them shipped out. Nice. Still haven't been Christmas shopping. Yeah. Yeah, my partner said he was going to do it on Saturday and I'm like, "Good luck, babe." Like, have fun going stocking shopping on the Saturday before Christmas. I'm going to gently suggest to him that he should go as early in the morning as possible. I've been so burned out emotionally that I don't even want to participate in Christmas. I'm sorry. I know it's so difficult. Like, how do you balance that? Like, I don't know. I guess the way to do it is to try to find something rejuvenating about Christmas. But if it's only sucking energy out of you, then of course it's not going to feel good. I have heard that rosemary oil helps with hair growth. Yes, I have heard that. Um, or like rosemary water. People will make rosemary infused water. But yeah, I'm so sorry. I know that Christmas is not like a positive time for everybody, and especially as members of a marginalized community, a lot of us have very fraught relationships with our families. You know, I've just decided a long time ago that I wasn't going to go to family Christmases anymore. So for me, it's not like a huge loss. It's been, I mean, like when I moved out of my dad's house when I was still a minor, I stopped going to Christmas for family stuff. And then I've been to Christmas with my partner's family, but since none of them take COVID precautions and there's complicated family dynamics in every family that make it to where we're like, well, you might as well not go. So, yeah, we just do our own thing and I like that. I like decorating my house. This is like it's supposed to look like snowy white background with the Christmas lights. I like decorating my house. I like making Christmas dinner and I like buying presents and I like hanging the stockings. So, like, I'm getting something out of it. And if you're feeling like it's a lot of effort, then give yourself a day off. Have Christmas be like, I'm just going to chill and watch horror movies or whatever it is that makes you feel like this is your kind of comfort day. I don't really know that we have a plan for Christmas Day. Maybe we talked about watching Avatar The Way of Water soon. So maybe I'll be like, hey, let's do that on Christmas. Let's sit on the floor and maybe do a jigsaw puzzle and just kind of chill for a little bit. Maybe watch Avatar The Way of Water. I don't know. That's kind of my overall plan. My mom was all for the COVID vaccines back when people cared about it, and she is now saying this stuff. I guess she was only for them thinking there was no possible adverse effects, which is not how it works. My hypothesis is that she lets Facebook and YouTube on autoplay, and it's documented that autoplay quickly presents conservative and conspiracy content. Oh, that's so true. Yeah. You actually have to like pay attention to what you're watching on YouTube or it will start showing you weird shit. I think it's less weird than it was, but it has not completely gone away with all the weirdness. I just got chip crumbs all over me. You weren't going to tell me that I have chip crumbs all over my tits? Anyway. My mother got bit by the nostalgia bug and said she wanted a VCR for Christmas. You know, it's classic. It's classic. Mm. Yeah, it's tough too when you're like, my family just kind of doesn't get it. IDK if she's necessarily being transphobic, but she doesn't understand that I want to use a different name. Yeah, I I recognize that for sure. Like my partner's family, I think they kind of know that I'm trans because I talk about it on Facebook, but I present as feminine and they met me when I was a teenager, so it's like I don't know, and this is not all of them, but I think some of them either don't understand what kind of trans I am or they don't get, like they just don't seem to get it. I don't know. Tit crumbs giving new meaning to looking like a snack. True. Got sour cream and onion crumbs everywhere. So I know that it's difficult this time of year. I was actually considering like, would people like me to do a Christmas stream? But I just don't want to stream on Christmas Day. Like, I don't know. Like, that's just, I just want to chill, right? I have a lot of other work to do, and I need to give myself a deliberate break sometimes instead of being like, well, I have shit to do and I'm stressing. Um, yeah. Since I do actually love my mom, I bought her a VCR from eBay. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Got the VCR from eBay. My partner was recently pointing out that DVDs are actually old enough now that they are starting to degrade. Like the content is starting to go bad basically because the plastic um doesn't last forever, obviously. Oh my god, my hair is everywhere. Yes, I do plan to take the day off on Christmas, except for cooking Christmas dinner, but one of the people that I'm making food for doesn't like ham. I don't know if this translates to not enjoying like a big Christmas ham, but Christmas hams I feel like are so convenient because they're already cooked basically, so you just need to like warm them up. You can do your own custom like, brown sugar, bourbon, you know, put a bunch of shit on the outside of it and then warm it up and give it a nice like crust, but I like that they don't really need to be cooked. So I'm kind of thinking of doing that like a holiday ham, despite the fact that I know that one of the people that I'm cooking for does not like ham. Because I just feel like it's different. And I don't want to do a turkey. I don't know what else you can do for a main course on Christmas that actually makes any sense. Nice, Fen. Fen is stoked that this year the gym installed cameras, so the gym is always open and you can do holiday deadlifts. Hell yeah. I have not been to the gym in a while. I'm like craving exercise, but I just cannot figure out what is the right way to do it right now. Good lord. As a vegetarian, I've never found a ham I liked. I think that there is some kind of veganism argument happening on Blue Sky right now. I haven't really seen the actual argument. I've mostly seen people commenting on the argument. A rib roast. That's a good idea. Ribs? Christmas ribs? Possibly. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Hey, Ari says, my mom sent me some stuff from Omaha Steaks for Christmas, and it was oddly affirming to see her use my chosen name. Yeah, I was touched more by that than the steaks she sent me. Yeah. See, we have good stories sometimes. We have good journeys sometimes. I'm a vegetarian, but I've been trying to slowly introduce meat back to my diet. Oh, did you have some kind of health thing come up? Listen, I I know that people are not super hot on the veganism conversation. Like a lot of people get really annoyed by it. I concede that vegans are more or less morally correct. Like the idea that we want to reduce suffering, the idea that we don't like climate change, like all of these things make sense to me. I just, I guess I don't see all death and suffering as bad and things that you should avoid, you know? Um, I think that we generally want to reduce suffering, but like that, like it's just kind of how feeding yourself works. I don't know. One of the big issues with vegetarian is that while there are so many fake meats, all of them are highly processed foods, so they aren't really that good for you. Yeah, it's hard for some people to balance out their diet with no meat with other protein products that aren't like heavily processed, or a lot of the stuff that people say is like here's a meat alternative, they have other allergens or other triggers like for IBS. Like beans, some people cannot eat beans because it's bad for their digestion. And it's like, okay, well, soy is a type of bean. Some people have soy allergies. And yeah, mushrooms have a similar taste and texture to meat sometimes, but they do not have the same nutritional content. You know, you all know my position on this. I am against factory farming, but I also like most veggie meat has wheat in it. Yeah. True. It's like it's a binding agent, the wheat. Uh so yeah, I'm like against factory farming, but also like that is the only way that a lot of people can access food that they need. And I would like to hunt my own food and raise my own food where possible. But yeah, I mean, until then, like, I'm not gonna beat myself up, guys. Okay, here's the other thing too. I did not shop at Walmart for like 12 years, right? And I started shopping at Walmart recently, and I'm saving a shit ton of money. And it's like, okay, so I've just been punishing myself. I've just been having the moral stance of not shopping at Walmart for the past like 12 years. And the only thing that it has done is lose me money that was just going to a different giant corporation. Like, so, like, what? Am I going to punish myself by, like, spending 3 times as much money buying from a local butcher? Or, like, am I going to punish myself by jumping through all these extra hoops to make sure that I'm getting my dietary needs addressed by other means? Like, no, there's no fucking point. I'm not going to bring down the Walmart empire. I am not going to bring down the factory meat consumption empire. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, as an individual, I have never made a difference by buying things or not buying things. I agree with vegan ethics, but it's just not practical for everybody to be vegan all the time. Yeah, I do. I like a vegetarian dinner every once in a while where I'm like, yeah, let's eat like chickpea curry, chickpea curry with rice and some veggie. Like, cool. It's good every once in a while, but like, I can't just straight up not eat meat. My partner can't just straight up not eat meat. Vegetarianism is pretty easy because meat doesn't really need replacing, but dairy is a lot harder to give up. Oh, for sure. Although I'm being more restrictive about dairy than I am about meat because I I basically eat full fat dairy all the time, and so I'm trying to cut that out. So I'm drinking soy milk instead of natural milk, and I get like fat-free cottage cheese just cuz I was, my heart was like a little bit high in the lipids. So I'm just trying to make some choices that are cutting those things down. And we have slimmed down a lot on how much red meat. like I buy ground pork instead of ground beef because ground pork has less fat in it. So basically, we are not eating beef right now for the most part. It's like a lot of chicken. Every once in a while, there's a tofu meal. Occasionally, pork. But yeah, definitely trying to make some good decisions. Trying to do as best as we can. Oh, I have a Walmart near me, but I won't go there because it was a localized outbreak center for COVID-19, and we knew some people there personally that died because they wouldn't protect them. Like employees? That's crazy. It's hard to give up sugar. Yeah, it is hard to give up sugar. I think sugar is probably the one of the most difficult things. Trying to cut dairy because the one time I was vegan, my skin completely cleared up. Nice. I have digestive issues too, and I'm trying to figure out if it's a lactose intolerance or maybe if I have like a mild gluten intolerance. It hasn't been so bad today, which I would expect it to be bad because we had pizza last night. Much harder to give up salt than sugar. Listen, you need salt. You don't strictly need sugar. Yum. See, I was like, I need to eat a bunch of chips before the show because I feel like we're going to end up talking about food. And here we are talking about veganism. Can someone tell me what the conversation has been on Blue Sky? Like, why is there a conversation about veganism? I haven't seen the original commentary. I've just seen some person, like one or two people that I follow, being like, so I guess we're talking about veganism today. I see currently a post that says human meat is vegan if the human consented. Oh my god. Jenny Tight Pants said veganism is nice in theory, but it doesn't work in practice for me because a lot of animals taste really good. That's true. Wait, what about the state of Colorado? Is this about bird flu? What are we talking about? IDK, all I've seen today is shit about Jesse Singal. They had started to slow down a bit with all the Jesse Singal shit, and it started up a little bit again, but I think it's partially because he wrote an article about how bad Blue Sky is. So here's the thing. Here's what's happened so far, as far as I understand it. Jesse Singal, who is the guy who published the therapy notes that were stolen from like a clinic that was treating trans youth by the receptionist, and I can't remember her name. But the receptionist like publicized this information, and then Jesse Singal published it to an even broader audience. Um, just talking about how this trans kid joked about their about identifying as pizza or whatever. Um, so Jesse Singal is like a huge piece of shit. He's like a polite Nazi, as you do, and he came over to Blue Sky and was like, "Oh, I want to colonize Blue Sky with a bunch of normies." And then basically every trans person who knows who he is blocked him. So for a bit, he was like his he had kept quote tweeting people, and the oh god, this is amazing. On Blue Sky, if you block someone, your quoted tweet does not show up on their profile anymore. And also, you can unlink your own tweet, I think even without blocking them. So you can so basically what ended up happening is Jesse Singal had all these tweets on his profile that were like him responding to something that it just said blocked underneath it. So he like tried to rile people up over here on Blue Sky, and people were annoyed by that and basically just cutting him off from what he clearly wanted, which was attention. people on Blue Sky, like the moderators, were like putting warnings on his account, like, oh, this account is transphobic. And then they like took those restrictions off, and then he was banned, and then he was unbanned. And a lot of trans people were super pissed off because it seems like, okay, so Blue Sky moderators just decided to have this polite Nazi on their platform, despite the fact that this platform was fucking built by trans people and people of color. Yeah, and then it turns out that it seems like what Jesse Singal actually wanted was unmitigated access to trans people to torture us, because he is not really on the platform anymore. He's writing about how bad it is. Like, Blue Sky has a death threat problem. And then he's like barely posting on there. So it's like, okay, we can tell what you wanted was the opportunity to fuck with trans people. And if you've been denied that, even though the moderators of the website basically said, we're just going to rewrite our TOS for you so that you can be here. And now he's like, I don't even want to be there. So fucking stupid. Oh, that Walmart was in Colorado. Okay, cool. Okay, so this Walmart in Colorado refused to put up safeguards with COVID until they were forcibly shut down by the state of Colorado. Lamau. Wow. Yeah, Jesse Singal, hero, whistleblower, normal about children, normal guy. Yeah, definitely hasn't written any op-eds, like, seemingly in support of pedophilia. Okay, great. So I did see that he posted a cute little op-ed, a little... Let me see if it shows up on Google. Blue Sky has a death threat problem. It was supposed to be a gentler left-wing alternative to X. My grim experience proves that just isn't the case. Like, we don't fucking want you here. Of course people are going to be mean. We don't want you here. I guess let's read this, because let's see what he has to say. Recently, like a lot of journalists, I joined Blue Sky, a social media platform that is enjoying a burst of post-election growth and positive press attention. It has been lauded as a kinder, gentler, and, perhaps most importantly, more left-wing alternative to X, which is increasingly seen as infested with what a Blue Sky user might call MAGA chuds. Like you, sir? While I thought some of the critiques of X were overstated, over the last 6 months or so, I've increasingly soured on it. It felt like an ever more hostile, hateful place. The technology seemed more broken every day, and I am not a fan of the owner Elon Musk's recent conspiracy theorizing and all-in support for Donald Trump. It seemed like a time to scope out a potential alternative. That was a mistake. Yeah, true. By the time I knew he was there, he was already auto-blocked for me. I have not subscribed to any block lists, I don't think, and I maintain that that is a good decision for me. But, you know, it's up to everybody to make that choice. On December 6th, I made my first post on Blue Sky, which was actually launched by Twitter in 2019 before becoming an independent company 2 years later. As I soon found out, it is an exceptionally angry place. It wasn't angry until you got there. It was so nice. Blue Sky, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody who's on Blue Sky. Wasn't it so much nicer before he got on the platform? Like, his mere presence had ripple effects across the platform where it's like, people are fucking mad that you're here, that, like, they're being betrayed by this website whose, like, moderation has very clearly taken a pro-trans stance in the past. Like, Libs of TikTok got blocked almost immediately because she immediately starts posting transphobic shit. Like, oh my god, dude. It wasn't exceptionally angry until you got there. People are exceptionally angry at you. And in part because of a widespread culture of impunity when it comes to violent threats among some of its users, it comes across as a potentially dangerous one. In a way, X or Twitter never did for me in my decade plus of actively using that platform. Blue Sky has either made a conscious decision to take a laissez-faire attitude towards serious threats of violence, or its moderators are incapable of guarding against them, or both. What's really funny, too, is that I know that his address has been programmed in as, like they automatically take down tweets or skeets that have his address in it. So people were doxing him, and the moderators did change things so that his address not any address, but his address would like automatically get your skeet taken down. So, like, I don't know what you mean by like threats are not being taken seriously. I feel like the far right depends heavily on self-fulfilling prophecy to maintain their stances and arguments. Yeah, of course. Can we get to 50 likes today, do you think? I feel like we're getting so close. Right now it's 42, which is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, or whatever. Ah! Drink water. Ah, yummy. Yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy, tummy, tummy. He continues, there's at least some evidence for the theory that the moderators are incapable of guarding against serious threats of violence. While many left-wing people announced they were leaving X after the election, 1 million users joined Blue Sky that week. The results weren't pretty. The Verge reported on November 17, the Blue Sky safety team posted Friday that it received 42,000 moderation reports in the preceding 24 hours. That's more than 10% of the number received in the entirety of 2023, which was 360,000. Like, yeah, of course, they opened it up to public, so if that makes sense. Given what I've learned about Blue Sky's moderation over the last week, I feel compelled to inform the site's users and potential users about its staggeringly negligent policies toward violent threats and doxing. He's just lying. I'm not going to read more of this if it's behind a thing here. The background here is that a subset of users on Blue Sky disagree with my reporting on youth gender medicine. Yeah, we disagree with you violating the privacy of minors. Yes, we take issue with that. He's currently working on a book about gender youth care. Wow, what a fucking loser. Anyway, that's kind of what's been going on with Jesse Singal right now. Like the fact that the Blue Sky moderators bent over backwards to accommodate him being there, to make sure that he could be there. And yet, this is the thing, is you bend over backwards for Nazis, and then they turn on you anyway. That's how it works. Yeah, guy who is hostile to people feigns surprise at being met with hostility when going to their space. This is some real crybaby bullshit. Yeah, I mean, for you to be... Again, and he does the whole, I'm speaking in a polite tone. Therefore, if you have an emotional reaction, that's you being wrong. I'm going to in a very calm and polite tone, tell you that you are a groomer who is brainwashing children into a gender cult. I don't know if Jesse Singal uses all this exact language, but this is the vibe. He's like, I just think that this is a predatory movement that is causing children to mistakenly seek healthcare that is going to ruin their lives forever permanently. It's like, okay, go fuck yourself. Like, oh, well, I am simply describing my disagreements and my perspective. I can't believe that you would use such offensive language when I am being nothing short of polite to you, my interlocutor. You know what I mean? Like, it's so transparent. If you know what's going on, like, go fuck yourself, actually. Because I'm meeting you with the energy that you're giving me. Just because you are hiding behind a veneer of politeness doesn't mean that what you're saying isn't fucking rude and unacceptable, and that I'm going to respond appropriately to that. I'm not going to go, well, that's a very interesting argument, Mr. Singal. You know, as a transgender leader of the cabal, I have to say that the idea that I'm seeking to harm children is quite disagreeable, sir. Like, who the fuck do you think we are? This is not the game that we're playing anymore. This is not like, the rules have changed. That's not what we're doing anymore. So anyway, I've just been like mostly not paying attention. It's like, honestly, the amount of the discoursing on Blue Sky has made me not want to be there as much since Singal has been there, and since like a whole bunch of liberals joined after the election. basically since the election, I've found Blue Sky to be a far less pleasant place to be. I'm still trying to make it the pleasant place that I want to be. So if you don't follow me on Blue Sky, you can. I'm on Blue Sky talking about movies. I'm talking about getting my nipples pierced. Like, I am trying to just chat about whatever over there because that's what it was a month and a half ago. And that's what I would like it to be. And I also I follow a bunch of feeds like the science feed, the gardening feed, the film feed, which are nice to switch to if you're like, I just want to do nothing but look at pictures of people's flowers in their garden. Gorgeous. Hi, Ben Jules. Welcome in. Yes, the hair is so back. Ugh. It feels nice. Unburdened by the hair on the side of my head. So, yeah, we're having fun. At least I'm trying to make Blue Sky the environment that I want to be on. So, for example, I've been posting a lot about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games. So the Hunger Games takes place at the 74th annual Hunger Games, and then Catching Fire is the 75th annual Hunger Games. And then the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is about the 10th annual Hunger Games. It's been going for 10 years, and the populace in the capital is not interested in watching the games. And there's this kind of question of like, should we get rid of the games? Is it no longer relevant 10 years after the rebellion? And it's kind of the story of how President Snow from the original series, like how he became who he became. Because he was alive during the rebellion itself. And therefore he was alive when the Hunger Games was created. And then 10 years in, it's a bunch of his ideas that change the Hunger Games into more of what we are familiar with in the primary series. Like the original Hunger Games took place in the same arena every year, and it was just an open arena, like a gladiator arena, where there is nothing to hide behind, like there's no place to go, there's just a stack of weapons and then go. So it usually didn't last very long. They didn't do any of the interviews beforehand until Coriolanus Snow suggested that they do that. So yeah, it's really interesting to kind of see like this character, like how he became a villain. He did not start out as a villain, so we kind of see how he became a villain, and also how he kind of single-handedly almost made the games what it is in the future when we see it. So it's pretty interesting. I watched it 4 times in the past week because I got a free Stars trial through Amazon. And I do this sometimes. If I rent a movie, sometimes I'll just watch it like a shit ton in a very short period of time because I'm not going to be able to watch it again after my Stars membership goes away. But yeah, it just really fascinates me. And consequently, I've also been watching a lot of video essays about the Hunger Games. And I think I understand why I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with this series. Like, it's one that I rewatch like all 4 movies every couple of months, really. It doesn't take me very long to feel like I want to watch the Hunger Games again. Because the first 2 movies are pretty similar to what happens in the books. Like, close enough anyway. But yeah, I was watching a video essay that kind of articulated why I like the series so much. And I think it's because it's ultimately a pretty hopeful story. Like, it very clearly grapples with some of those ideas that we were talking about last stream of like the Hobbes and Rousseau, various theories on like human nature and like, is human nature objectively violent? Like, are we naturally violent? Are we naturally independent and we're naturally willing to screw other people over in order to make sure that we have what we need to care for ourselves? And so yeah, that's very clearly the position that the makers of the games take on if you watch The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes or read it. I'm going to read it soon. I requested a copy from the library, so I'm going to read it soon. But yeah, like, are we going to be defined by our actions within the games as human beings? Like, yeah, Suzanne Collins ultimately takes the view that human beings are only killing each other like that because of this social construct. Um, this battle royale of like a death match of kids together. Um, People clearly are only doing that because if they don't perform, they are worried that their families or even their whole district might get punished. Um, yeah, and it's just, it ends up in this situation where when people can decline to participate, they do. Like when people can make the choice not to kill, they do make that choice when there's not all these other pressures. I tried reading The Hunger Games, but I stopped because the main character is mean to a cat in the first few pages. Yeah, Katniss thought of the cat as being yet another mouth to feed. So she does try to drown a kitten there at the beginning of the book. Understandable. She does come around. She does come around eventually. Yeah, I didn't love. So I really enjoyed the Hunger Games first two books, but the third book I really didn't like when I was a kid. But now as an adult, I appreciate it a lot more for sure. Like the whole series, I appreciate it a lot more. Hello, Kitty and Zypation, presumably. Anywhere that humans have the opportunity to gain power, there will be violence. Yeah. I mean, and like Hobbes and Rousseau were very interested in, like, the reason that there was this interest in human nature and like all this interest in like what do people do when you give them the opportunity, or like what do people do in the natural state. um it's because they were trying to figure out, like, okay, well then therefore what is the best system of governance. So this is kind of relevant with the Hunger Games, obviously, because the whole concept is like it's a system of governance. This is a very interesting point, though, because of the way that things happen domestically in the Hunger Games. We know nothing about their foreign policy. You know, just like we know nothing about, like, Panem is obviously America. If you look at the map of it, it's very clear. Like, I think that the borders are changed a little bit around the edges. Like it like comes down into Mexico a bit and like comes up into Canada a little bit, but it's clearly America. Um, but like, okay, Europe must still exist, Asia must still exist, but we know nothing about their foreign policy. Partially because, like, I mean, I wonder how true this is to real life now. Like, if you live in an authoritarian regime, does it basically feel like there might as well not be other countries? Like, if you're so downtrodden, if you're so focused on the negative things happening, if you are basically a slave in your country and you're made to like fight to the death with other teenagers, it's implied to be America after a climate disaster. Yeah. Yeah, District 12 is in Appalachia. District 13 is more DC, New York, kind of. Um, the capital itself is in the Rocky Mountains, it seems. So, yeah, it's clearly America, and there must be other countries, but it just seems like they don't have. But I mean, again, it's told from the perspective of someone living in a district, and all of their access to television is restricted. They are only shown what the Capitol wants them to see. Yeah, it's just really interesting. It's just quite a fascinating series to me that I am probably going to keep coming back to for a long time. I hated how much focus it had on romance. Suzanne Collins was pressured by her editors to make romance more prominent in the story. Yeah, I mean, of course, they are trying to make things marketable. And when was this in relation to Twilight? Like, Hunger Games published in 2008. When was Twilight published? 2005. Okay. So the Hunger Games very much exists in the context of a Twilight environment. It's like September 2008 for Hunger Games and September 2005 for the first book of Twilight. So yeah, it makes sense to me where they're like, well, this uh, love triangle thing in Twilight is very, very, very popular. So in order to make your book more marketable, we're going to put a love triangle in there. Honestly, in the book, it doesn't even really feel to me like there is a very strong love triangle. Like she does not describe her relationship with Gale as being one where she's like, I think he's hot and I want to get with him. He's a friend. He is in a similar position where they both have to be concerned about like taking care of their families. So they have a lot in common. But she says at the beginning, like, I think her saying he looks like he could be my brother is also kind of describing the type of relationship that they have. And then I do think it is interesting if, the idea that if you grew up with someone and you are in that situation where you're both struggling the same way, you both live in the poorest part of the poorest district, and then that type of relationship is different from then going through the games with someone and then coming out of that feeling like no one can possibly relate to you unless they have also been in the games. And I will point out that Katniss and Peeta are not the only relationship that exists in that context, because you also have Fennec O'Dare, who ends up in a relationship with Annie, and they were both winners different years. So they have that similar thing where they're like, I don't know that anyone else will ever understand me the way that someone else who's been through the games could understand me. So I do think that it is interesting to explore, although I do understand when people are like, can we not play up the love triangle thing? It's kind of annoying. Like, I get it. I also dislike how queerness is treated in the story. The only queer characters are degenerate people in the Capitol. I don't remember that. It is, yeah, obviously there aren't very many queer people in it. But I don't remember, I haven't read it in such a long time. Maybe I should reread. Because yeah, I don't even remember queer people being mentioned in the Capitol either. Which again, it's one of those things where it's like, if you even mention gay stuff in your young adult book, you have the potential for people to call for your book to be banned. IDK, I feel like it was a good mix. It was a bit of romance with real life messing everything up. Wanting to love but being unable to is a real life event, and having that love taken time and time again is important. Also, a lot of the love she showed and felt was about men who helped Prim. That's a good point, because Peeta, burned some bread on purpose and threw it to Katniss, and then his mom, like, physically hit him. But he like put himself at some amount of risk in order to help her. And she hadn't eaten in days, which means that Prim hadn't eaten in days. Finnick is pimped out to grown pervy men. Well, yeah, it's definitely, like, Finnick is definitely pimped out. Like, it is definitely in the text that Finnick is made to do sexual stuff. Like, he's basically made to do sex work. I didn't know that it specifically was about men, but sure, yeah. But anyway, I just find it really interesting. Yeah, Gale did watch over Katniss's family when she went to the games. He was like, I'm gonna make sure that they don't go hungry. Which is so big of Gale too, because Gale has like a mom and 5 younger brothers or something, and for him to take on the additional responsibility of caring for Prim and the unnamed mom character, there are a lot of unnamed mom characters, which I think that if this book were written by a man, people would have serious problems with that. But it's interesting. It's like, do we take that as an indication that this society is also misogynistic and doesn't really respect women? Or would we see that as a reflection of Suzanne Collins' view towards women? Like Katniss's mom does not have a name. Um, President Snow's mom does not have a name, and his best friend Sejanus's mom, I think, also doesn't have a name. So that's like three. Obviously, if you haven't seen The Songbird and Snakes, then obviously it doesn't matter. But like three prominent, like would have been prominent women in their lives were just not given names in the narrative. It's just interesting, especially for President Snow's mom, given that she clearly has such an influence on him. For her to just not have a name is pretty crazy. Whereas his dad's name is very important. Like it is important to the plot what his dad's name is. So, I don't know. Just interesting. I like fiction. Gail's mom is named Hazel. See, how does Gail's mom get more personalization than Katniss's mom? Like, all right, cool. Anyway. And then also for like President Coin, who's like the leader of the resistance. She's the president of District 13. Spoilers for the third book. She is also power hungry. And like at the end of the whole series, she proposes that they have a reverse Hunger Games where they have capital children do a Hunger Games as a symbolic, we're moving forward. And that, I think, cuts to the quintessential point of the Hunger Games. Like, what is the reason for the Hunger Games? Is it explicitly a punishment for that rebellion that was done? Like that, which was the justification for the games in the first place. Was like, oh, all these districts rebelled. We had to nuke District 13. But I think what it comes down to is that the games serve as a continuing reminder of who the real winner is. Like, yes, every year at the Hunger Games, a victor is declared, but in actuality, the capital is the victor of the war. And through conducting the games every year, they reinforce that to the districts. We are the victors. You are the losers. We can force you to do something horrible like send your children to a deathmatch battle royale, and you have no power to stop us. In fact, if you try to stop us, we will simply bomb your entire district, which it's interesting. Like that should run out at some point. Like you can't keep doing that. They got rid of District 13, which was their like number one weapons manufacturer at the time. So they ended up having to create an entire new weapons manufacturing process in District 2. And I guess in District 12, where they have the coal miners, like that is becoming less and less relevant because they're starting to utilize hydroelectric power. Like a giant hydroelectric dam provides basically all of the power to the capital itself. So they clearly don't need coal on a broader systemic level. So it's like, I guess you can just nuke 12 and it's kind of whatever, but you sort of can't do that with like District 4, which provides all of the fish, like all of the fish. You can't really do it to like District 8 because District 8 provides all of the lumber for the whole country. Yeah. I really wonder how gay people would be treated in the districts. Well, to be fair, like it is a fascist nation, right? It's an authoritarian regime. So it's entirely possible that there aren't gay people in the districts because they are all in the closet, because it would be in line with everything we know about fascism to have it be punishable as a crime. And so maybe people in the capital are able to get away with it because strawberry. People in the capital are able to get away with it because of their wealth or their connections. Because another thing, if you watch the prequel, it's very clear that families in power stay in power. Like you'll hear names like, oh, that person's last name was Crane. Wasn't Seneca Crane the head game maker in the first movie? And then you hear the last name Heavensby, and you're like, wasn't Plutarch Heavensby the game maker in the second movie. So yeah, it's like power stays in families. Um, and I could very much see it being a case where quote unquote degeneracy is only permitted in certain social circles, but it is not addressed in the text. And I will say that I can see that as a pretty strong mark against it, that it doesn't ever address what happens to gay people. We don't have a gay main character. Like, we don't ever get to hear a conversation about, like, well, I love this, person. There's nothing even that kind of alludes to being queer, except for the idea that Finnick is pimped out, and like in some kind of vague way where they don't really talk about it that much. Technically, you would still want coal for the process of making high carbon steel. It is the primary source of carbon used in that process unless something changed. Yeah. And it's interesting too, because it kind of seems like technological advancement is being done mostly because of the games. Obviously in the prequel movie, they are coming off of the rebellion, and like obviously a lot of infrastructure was destroyed during that, and like the economy is kind of recovering, but it just seems like a lot of the technological advancements that they make are like because of the games. The drones that they send to bring gifts in the arena are so much more advanced, and they create like a tracker to keep track of where the person is, and it also keeps track of their vitals. So like that's a technological advancement. It seems like a pretty big leap in 65 years comparing the prequel to like the first movie of the Hunger Games. So anyway, I love how I lost 10 of you talking about that. I am sorry that Battle Royale, Death Contest, dystopia is the thing that's on my mind this week. But it is. That is what's on my mind right now. Dude, the Tracker Jackers are fucking... Like, so you listen. They took some wasps and they made them super venomous so that they cause an extreme hallucinogenic effect and then kill you, potentially. Yeah, Tracker Jackers. That's crazy. Shit, I was riveted. Oh, okay. Well, good. I enjoy talking about fiction, as is evidenced by what I'm trying to do with my channel right now. I did record today my video about Will and Harper, the documentary. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be out this week. I think it'll be out next week. So I'll have to get in and edit that. I ended up talking for like over an hour. So there's a good chance that the patrons and members will get a little extended view, a little extended video. How do I become a member? So membership means that you basically pay a monthly subscription on YouTube itself. It's very much like Patreon. If you go down below the video on the YouTube page, there's a thing that says join, and you can join, and it's $5 a month to be a member there. And you get basically a lot of the same stuff that my patrons get. An extended version of the video, sometimes like a personal vlog, text posts. Sometimes it's like a preview of like, hey, here's what the thumbnail is going to look like on this video coming up. So yeah, you get some of the same stuff that the patron people get. In real life, some hippie would turn the Tracker Jacker venom into a drug. I mean, yeah, hallucinogens. People are really into it. Oh, gosh. My back. My neck, my back, my P-word, and my crack. You get custom emotes. I forgot about the custom emotes. Peppo love. Get some of those, guys. Can you explain where that button is? I'm blind. It should be, so on the bottom of the page, there's like the black and green icon that has my channel thumbnail on it, my channel picture, and then it says Musing Moss right next to it. And then next to that should be a subscribe button, and then next to the subscribe button should be a slightly smaller but same shape button that says join. That's my best guess anyway. Obviously, like, don't tax yourself unnecessarily to get there, but yeah. Does anyone else think that Arrow Ace Katniss would have been iconic? I think that it would be interesting, and I think that there are going to be some people who would find it problematic that, like, she does strictly not want kids because she doesn't want the kids to be obviously thrown into the Hunger Games. But, like, the reason why she's not interested in a romantic relationship is because she doesn't want to get close to someone. I don't know. I think it could probably be done in a tasteful way, but it's like, how can you date as a teenager if you know that the teenager that you're dating could get shipped off to the Hunger Games, or that you might get shipped off to the Hunger Games, or that you both might get shipped off? Like, how do you... It's so diabolical in the pervasive manner in which it hurts society to have this, because, like, people you can't really be close friends with anyone without that risk. Literally every year, once a year, someone is getting picked off. Two someones are getting picked off. And then you are compelled to watch, like, I don't think it's entirely optional to just not watch the games. They kind of pressure you into watching it. Like, everybody's standing in the city square together watching it, kind of shit. Yeah, like, how can you even imagine a future? Like, maybe the day you turn 18 or whatever, it's either 18 or 19. Whichever year is the first year that your name is not in the running anymore, maybe you can start thinking of having a relationship. But how? Like, I feel like there's part of you that would even love your children less, or love your own children at a distance, because you know that they could be ripped from you at any time. Damn, Kitty is really showing up with all the custom emojis. Look at all that. So many emojis. I love the knife emoji, just by itself. It's pretty funny. Ah! There's no join option next to your name. Hold on, let me look at it. I don't ever actually, like, look at this.
Today we're trying...
Okay, maybe they don't have it. I know David has it. Shush. Okay, I guess it's supposed to be right next to the name. The join button is to the left of the subscribe button. And it's a big white button because I have not clicked it yet for this channel. Is it not? Hold on, let me open up my own live stream. Does it even show up on there? Yeah, it's right next to my name. So it says Musing Moss Luxander, and then it's immediately next to that. Should be a big white button. Okay, let me get rid of that now. In the past, kids died so often in infancy that they waited till it survived at least a year before naming it. Yeah, of course. Like, you wait a year or two. That's a wildling thing that they do in the Game of Thrones books, is they wait until the age of 2 to give their kids a name. Can you share a link to become a member? I can try. Oh, it's so weird. It, like, shows up on the page instead of, like, opening a separate page. So I don't know if I don't think there is a link to do it. I think it just, if you click the thing, then it just pops up on the page. It's not a very accessible feature, for sure. Yeah, fear of loss preventing individuals from love. Yeah. And it's the ultimate loss. It's not just, oh, this person might break up with me. It's like the person I love might straight up just die in the games. And there's also kind of a pervasive fear of violence just in general because every district is inhabited by quote unquote peacekeepers, which it seems like that's a pretty common trope to call them peacekeepers. I mean, I'm remembering Farscape because there's a character in that who's, I think her entire race is called peacekeepers, or maybe it's just like so many of them are participating in this that like it might as well be that she's just like definitionally a peacekeeper. But they are the fascists of the galaxy. Peacekeepers. Ah, yes, the deleted Disney trans character. Yeah, I haven't actually gone in and like read the articles in depth. I just figured we would chat about it a bit. And I retweeted something that uh, was basically like this was the thing that they planned on putting in there. Hmm. Let me try to see what this thing is. Yeah. I don't know if this is actually true, but someone shared an animation that they claim was supposed to be the LGBTQ scene from Pixar's Win or Lose, which is it was supposed to have a trans character and then they removed it basically. Yeah, yawn. Oh, by the way, we are doing the box again today. I've put something new in the box. So if we get to that dono goal, we will open the box and I will show you what's in there. Yay. Fun box. And then there's also another smaller box, but we have to get this one first. This one first. Okay, I had like a couple other things that I was thinking about talking about today as well. Someone posted in the stream recommendations earlier. Okay, so there's an article from the New Republic. Yeah, let's look at this really quick. So Jamie Elizabeth shared this in the Discord server. It's an article that says America's anti-trans panic is a scam. Let's just review this real quick. While the current wave of discriminatory policies will do obvious harm to the trans community, they're also meant to distract from the myriad ways we're all getting fleeced. So this is, I think that the part of the reason Jamie shared this is that this is actually a trans person writing about the environment that we're in, as opposed to like cisgender people downplaying the severity of what's going on, and they're getting op-eds and stuff. So okay, in the marble halls of the Battle Dome. Oh man, this is great writing right off the bat. J. Dillon Sandifer. J. Dillon Sandifer. This is great writing right off the bat here. Let me make this bigger so you can read it probably. In the marble halls of the Battle Dome of American Lawfare on December 4th, Tennessee's Deputy Solicitor General performed a brazen act of legal gymnastics. He argued to the Supreme Court that protecting transgender children requires denying them health care. That same day, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot. Oh, dude, it was the same day. Holy fuck. My brain is melting. That we had like the oral arguments happened the same day as the UHC shooting. Oh my god. Time is a flat circle and it's also soup. And my brain is soup. I can't believe that happened on the same day. Oh my god. Anyway, So the same day as the oral arguments, Brian Thompson was shot allegedly by a man driven to desperation by America's predatory and labyrinthine healthcare system. The grim symmetry was impossible to ignore. The parallel path of these two events perfectly encapsulates the cynical sleight of hand at the heart of the American establishment's current political strategy. While millions struggle under the weight of medical debt and economic precarity, our political class has masterfully redirected public anger toward a manufactured crisis, the supposed threat of transgender Americans. By scapegoating trans people, I've been saying this for 2 years. 2 years I've been saying this. They divert attention from the systemic failures killing and impoverishing our neighbors. This phenomenon is what sociologists call displacement, where economic anger and despair are redirected onto marginalized groups rather than the systems and structures that are actually causing the suffering. While the threats to trans people are real and growing, the threat of trans people is a non-existent distraction, and attacking us will do nothing to address Americans' real material concerns. Honestly, I don't know why that on its own didn't lose Trump the election. I think that the real thing is that Donald Trump didn't win this election, but rather that Kamala Harris lost this election. I don't know if people agree that that is it feels to me like, yeah, it's not like the country declared that Trump is the best. I think it's more accurate to say that our country declared that Kamala Harris fucking sucks. Anyway, in Tennessee, where I spent 13 years, Jay Dillon spent 13 years, 1 in 5 children lives in poverty, and the state ranks 46th out of 50 in healthcare access. Yet, the state legislature seems more concerned with spending millions defending discriminatory anti-trans laws rather than addressing these systemic failures. Florida, meanwhile, pours resources into investigating drag shows while its residents face an unprecedented housing crisis. Texas hunts down parents of trans children while steadfastly refusing, along with 10 other states, including Florida and Tennessee, to expand Medicaid coverage that could benefit millions of working families. Yeah, it's pretty annoying that, and then that's true of Kansas as well. Kansas has refused to expand Medicaid, so that's part of why your boy has not had health insurance in fucking years. And but also they're passing anti-trans laws. Okay, is this is the strategy? This is what we're deciding to do with our time? Discriminate against trans people instead of putting money into, why are my taxes so high in Kansas if I'm getting no benefit from it? Our schools suck. Our public works are not being invested in. The main water aquifer that gives Kansas its water is drying up. So anyway, Jay Dillon asserts that this is a strategy, not coincidence. As Americans struggle to afford basic necessities, state legislatures have unleashed an unprecedented wave of anti-trans legislation. The timing is calculated, the playbook well worn. When economic anxiety rises, create a cultural boogeyman. Yeah, whether it's trans people or immigrants or whoever, let's create a boogeyman. Hours of breathless coverage of trans athletes rather than investigating corporate price gouging. Yeah, let's not talk about the fact that milk is twice as expensive as it was a few years ago. Politicians perform outrage over pronouns while quietly approving corporate subsidies and bloated military contracts. And yeah, the Supreme Court's pending decision with United States versus Scrimetti will have far-reaching implications for anyone who depends on accessible healthcare and basic civil rights. It's a stark reminder that the struggle for trans rights and economic justice are inextricably linked. Every moment spent debating trans existence is a moment politicians don't have to justify their economic failures, and corporations don't have to defend sacrificing human lives for ever-growing profits. Yeah, I'm taking a break from reading that right now. Hold on. Oregon is terrible for schooling. Yeah, that sucks. I'm guessing it's because... Wait, is it in Oregon that there's no property tax? Is that what it is? Because property tax is the thing that determines much of a school's funding. So in Kansas, it's like it's very dependent on where you live. If you live in a very affluent place, which is not very many places in Kansas, then you might have a really good school nearby. Mm. It's no sales tax in Oregon. And then in Washington, it's no income tax, right? That's what I'm remembering. Hmm. I wonder why the schools are bad in Oregon. Okay, Oregon definitely has property tax. Like, why would you have such bad schools? It's supposed to be one of those liberal states where you pay a lot of taxes. Kitty says there is city and county property tax, but no state property tax. Okay. Yeah, why are schools funded through property tax? Like a way to guarantee that you end up with smart corresponds with rich, basically. I've been gifted some what is it? It's rice wine? I've been gifted some strawberry flavored rice wine. Yummy. Most of Oregon is rural and shitty because there isn't a lot of people to pay the taxes. Yeah, it has like a pretty low population, I guess, compared to a lot of other areas that are liberal. Like Oregon is pretty low population, all things considered, which is part of why I would like to live there. Like there's way fewer people. Sign me up, please. Get away from me, people. I don't like you. The cities in Oregon have above average school systems. Okay, that would make sense. Like if you live in Portland, yeah. Portland is fairly small by comparison to other West Coast cities. Yeah, for sure. Like there's a ton of people in California, there's a ton of people in Washington, but a huge portion of Oregon is like just fucking national parks. So, yeah. The Republic of California, the Great Republic of California, just those 3 states on the side there. Someday. Thank you, Byron, for letting us know that pecan wood sucks to turn on a lathe. I would imagine that it's very soft, but that's just, I think, because of pecans being kind of soft. I have no idea. A few months back, I commissioned my friend who makes wands to make me a wand, and then he had a very serious case of pneumonia and is not working in his shop right now. And I'm just like, it's mostly finished, but it just had like some finishing stuff that needs to be on it. And I'm like, come on, man. Feel better so that I can get my fucking wand. You just reminded me of the whole lathe thing. Oregon feels like the last bastion of Manifest Destiny / Wagons West / homesteading law states. Yeah. It's cool. It's like rural but liberal, which I like because I like being kind of rural and also liberal. I saw some people, I was on Reddit. I was like reading about different cities in the Pacific Northwest. And people were like, "Oh yeah, Salem's a little weird. You know, you got some MAGA people. It's a little weird." And then there was someone who was from Georgia who was like, "I can assure you that Salem compared to Georgia is a walk in the park. It's cake." And like obviously if you lived in like Eugene or Portland, which are much more liberal, it would be even more of a difference. But like from someone who's actually lived in the South, even the like red counties are not as bad. I'm assuming that places in like eastern Oregon are still pretty rough. But if you're in that like Portland area, like yeah, it's going to be better than any actual red state. A huge chunk of eastern Oregon keeps asking to join Idaho. Well, sorry, it doesn't work that way, bitch. From what I understand, it's relatively expensive to homestead in Oregon, and Idaho makes it much easier slash cheaper. How is it more or less expensive to homestead? Is it like a tax thing? I don't know. The plus sign. Plus sign was baby's first message in chat. Oh, so sweet. I don't want Idaho to have any more house seats, truly. Yeah, let's not do that. That's how West Virginia used to be. Coal miner class solidarity before the Overton window, drifting rightward lately. Yeah. Come back, chat. I miss you. Okay. Yeah, Idaho doesn't need any more house seats. Just not necessary. Whatever happened to if you don't like it here, move? Like, if you don't like the fact that Oregon is a liberal state, go the fuck to Idaho. Move. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. Go. Go away. Oh, is it because it only works that way when you're mad at liberals? Is that why? You're like, these fucking liberals. If you don't like America, then just leave. And then liberals, like, create liberal places in the United States. And on all the rednecks are like, I want to secede from the Union. That's kind of basically the logic. Like, you know what I mean? It's basically. Ah. Ooh. I think it's about building codes when you're required to get certified people to sign off on your design and construction, and when you have to pay for permits, it's more expensive to start a homestead. Sure, yeah, sure, I guess see that. Like the permits that are required might be more expensive in a liberal state. You can acquire abandoned properties here through improving them. That kind of homesteading, keep receipts. Also, USDA home loans in rurality are cheap for homesteading. I get the impression that Oregon has really nice first-time homebuyer programs. I'm going to have to start looking into this stuff when we actually get into the area. Conservatives believe in self-determination. They determined for themselves that they get to stay and everybody else has to leave. True. There are people who have been families here since before the 90s. Oregon only turned blue in 94 with Clinton-era politics. Interesting. So it's like not a guarantee blue just because it's right next to California. Rural Oregon grows cannabis, so that's a big problem. What is it like? It's a big problem for Idaho. Idaho doesn't want Eastern Oregon because they grow cannabis. Just build under 200 square feet and build a little village of huts to live in with connected hallways. You don't need a permit for 200 square feet. Oh, gosh. Oregon's barely over purple. Yeah, well, I'm glad that I'm bringing my blue vote there. Because, yeah, I think that, like, it would be a good idea to get folks. I know that Seattle is, like, the place to go, but I think it would be cool to get more people to move to Portland because then we can kind of ensure that Oregon stays blue. Excuse me. Ah, so burpy. I'm sorry. It's disgusting. The right does the whole, if you don't like it, get out with states, the country, and social media. Then they invade blue areas and tell us to leave, like they're trying with Blue Sky. The loose leaf tea company I buy from is out in Oregon. Nice. Well, at least that tells me that I could grow tea in that area. I've never been sure. I guess, well, like rice grows in wet paddies, and I guess I've always just assumed that tea grew in similar conditions. Seattle has its own issues. I'm definitely for painting Oregon blue. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? In the Bend area, it's a recently turned blue seat, like just turned for the first time, with a black lady appointed. Cool. Nice. Yeah, I know that Bend is kind of rural. It's considered a little bit more Republican-ish. Let's get a bunch of bitches up there starting homesteads in Oregon. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Right? Uh, man. Again, I was saying it at the top of the stream, and I'll say it again because there's more people here now. First of all, hit the like button. Thank you. Love you. But like, it's only about a month until I'm gonna be in a U-Haul for 3 to 4 days. So, yeah, it's about to be crazy. I can't believe it's Christmas already. Jewel State from Firefly actually has a tea shop here in Portland with her husband. Is that the one who played the mechanic? Jewel. Haha, yes, she does play the mechanic. I fucking knew it. Kaylee? She plays Kaylee? That's cool. She's neat. Kitty says there's a ton of cheap undeveloped land in Oregon, and I will happily drive all over helping people build and set up wind turbines on the cheap. There you go. We got resources, y'all. So, just this article that I've been ignoring, even though it's on my screen for the past 10 minutes. Jay Dillon points out that the states which are passing anti-trans legislation consistently show higher poverty rates, lower wages, and worse healthcare outcomes than those that are protecting trans rights. What the fomenters of this moral panic hope to elide is that the same corporate interests bankrolling anti-trans politicians are simultaneously fighting against labor rights, universal healthcare, and other measures that might otherwise level the economic playing field. Yeah, well, it all goes together. We've talked about this with regards to bigotry. Like, bigotries tend to go together. But then it's also economic stuff. Like, the most racist states are also the poorest ones with the worst education, the most teen pregnancies. Like, all these issues tend to go together. It's wild. Like, bad economic policy and bigoted views. It's just interesting. I mean, I get it. Like, I get why, but it is interesting. Oregon's about to become Luxified. True. I'm gonna bring all of my homies. All my homies love Oregon. Itchy. I don't know if there's anything. Is there anything else in this article that I should? Oh, this is interesting. Jay Dillon says labor unions like Unite Here increasingly recognize that discrimination against one group weakens protections for all, and they prioritize trans-inclusive healthcare across the hospitality industry. They understand that when employers test the waters of discrimination against trans workers, they're ultimately testing how much discrimination all workers will accept. And the solution here isn't to ignore trans rights in favor of economic justice or vice versa. It's to recognize their fundamental connection After all, the forces arrayed against us all understand this all too well. When we show up to school board meetings to defend trans kids, we can also demand answers about why teachers are forced to buy their own supplies. When we support trans advocacy groups, we can also join tenant and labor unions, building broad coalitions to achieve better living and working conditions for everyone. When politicians try to manufacture outrage about pronouns, we can shift the conversation to their voting record on raising the minimum wage instead. These struggles are intertwined, and we are stronger when we face them together, rather than letting them become wedge issues that divide us. Hell yeah, dude. They, she. Jay Dillon's pronouns are they and she. Follow the gaze, as the old real estate saying goes. Yeah. I want to move into a place with a bit of land so I can do some planting, waiting to see what the political fallout is like first. Yeah, I'm still strongly of the opinion that being in a blue state is safer than being in another country. Like, yeah, let's go to fucking Canada where they are underfunding their NHS and they don't even have a private insurance situation. So, like, either your stuff is covered on the NHS or you pay full price to get the care privately. And, like, yeah, I love the idea of national health systems, but also they are uniquely vulnerable to this kind of exploitation where trans care is just simply not covered and they can just decide, like in the UK, like, we've just decided that trans kids can't get the same kind of medicine that cis kids can get because. And we have decided that trans adults have to jump through years of additional hoops in order to get the same medication that we dispense easily to cisgender people. You know? Like, that's just my personal opinion still. So it's still kind of my plan to find a chunk of land in, I guess, near Portland and grow food, like have enough space to have like a proper greenhouse with some like vertical gardening going on in there. Because I guess the next plan after that, like if shit really goes tits up, then I guess it's fucking Canada. But like, I don't want that. I want to stay in blue state America. We need to settle our own island and have our LGBTQ country. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? We would get invaded though. That's the problem. We keep going to our separate places and saying like, this is our place. We like it here. And then they come in and they're like, yeah, we don't like that you're here. You don't fit anymore. Like, okay, just going to continue gentrifying us and running us out of our own communities, basically. Well, that's cool, kitty. Just finished learning how to build a gearbox with the right ratios for wind turbines. Nice. Next step is to learn how to build a switch that changes the gear automatically when wind speed changes. And then being able to build a hands-off super stable machine which generates stable power output in a lot of wind conditions. Hell yeah, that's cool. Learning necessary skills. I was thinking just recently, I was getting gas in my car and I was like, oh yeah, this gas station has the ethanol option, like the E85 or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it reminded me, excuse me, that one time we had talked in chat about like oh my God, like being able to convert your engine to use ethanol and like how incredibly useful that would be because you can just grow corn and then make ethanol from it. And then boom, you have fuel. I had a plan to build a plastic recycling boat that starts out building cubes of really strong plastics that can be used to build a floating island as we clean up the ocean. Damn. That would be cool. I really think that conservation is one of the most interesting fields, partially because it's such a broad topic. Like, I don't know if this is actually considered a type of conservation, but I think that cleaning the plastic out of the ocean, I would consider a type of conservation effort. And like any engineering process that goes into thinking about how to execute on that. That's happened in places all over the country like clockwork. LGBTQ plus move in and build up the communities and then get gentrified out. Yeah. it is really nice, like emailing landlords and property managers and them having their pronouns in the email signature. I'm like, whew. It just makes me feel like, oh, goodness gracious. Thank goodness. um, it's normalized in those gosh darn liberal places. Those gosh darn Democrats or whatever. You can make ethanol from almost any sugary plant, so really it's climate based what you would want to grow for the ethanol. Nice. It's like I have no desire to really eat corn. I mean, it's fine. I guess cornmeal is good. Like you can make cornbread out of it. But like so basically I have no use for the Three Sisters. Sure, I could probably find some squash that I want to eat often enough. And I will definitely eat the beans, but I don't really care about corn. So if I could just make ethanol from the corn or vegetable oil and just like not worry about eating the corn, that would be the way to do it, I guess. Man, I guess it does kind of make sense for me to grow Three Sisters. Damn. I thought I wasn't going to do that. Beethanol? Are you just being silly and saying like beans? Or is that an actual thing and I'm being rude? Is that me? Being rude? I would never be rude. How dare you say such a thing about me? Could not imagine being rude. Oh my god, lemon water is so fucking good, dude. Huge fan of water. Sugarcane grows in a lot more climates than you think, too. It's a good product to grow and creates a source of easy sugar, too. Oh, beets and ethanol. Beethanol. Beets. Beethanol. I don't know that I've ever had beets. I think maybe one time I ate some beets or like a beet thinking, because it looked, okay, if you get canned beets, they look an awful lot like canned cranberry sauce. And so I think maybe one time I saw like a disc of a beet and I thought that it was a disc of cranberry sauce. But I don't know that I've actually like properly had beets. I love radishes, and I think of radishes as being similar to beets, even if they are not. Bears, bearthanol. It's my favorite form of fuel. Bearthanol. I have been so yawny today. I'm so sorry, guys. I've been struggling to get up in the mornings. I've been like, I'm so tired. Oh no. Trying to drop the cap to my rice wine on the floor. How did you just become Winifred Sanderson for a second? I don't know. Hey, kitty. Hey. Hi. I want to see if I can trick him into coming over here. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. He's just loafing on the floor looking at me like... I don't know why he's staring at me like that. Why are you staring at me? Hi, baby. Do you think we can get our first donation of the day if you come over here and you show up on screen? Maybe. Oh, I never watched Battlestar Galactica. That makes sense why I don't know that. Yeah? Come here. Mr. Baby. I don't think he's going to come over here willingly. I think I would have to go acquire him. Mr. Baby. Come here. Hi. I think I'm just going to go pick him up and make him be on camera. I think I'm just going to impose this on him. Because he's a slave and he has no choice. Are you my indentured servant? Hi. I found him. Hello, Mr. Baby. Oh my god, are you gonna can you get your claws out of my shirt? Thank you. Yes. Hello, pretty boy. Hello, pretty baby. Mm-hmm. Hi. He's always like, I hate you. Please let me down. Look at you, so pretty. Yeah? Mm. You're a good boy. Yes, you are. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're a good friend. Hmm? Are you unhappy with me? You don't like being held? No? No? Why do cats smell so good? You know? You know when they smell good? Why do you smell so good, huh? He's like, I won't even look at you right now. Yeah, I know, I'm so terrible. I'm so annoying. I'm the worst. Yeah? Alright. Thank you. Good boy. Now he's gonna lick plastic. Their cats. Smelling good is what they do. It is. It's like, stop smelling so delicious and maybe I'll stop picking you up all the time. You goober. Cats groom themselves so much they better smell good. My cat doesn't really know how to be a cat. He was kind of raised by a dog, so he doesn't actually groom himself very much. Cats are not food except in an emergency. I guess. God, what if I really want to eat the cat? Does that count as an emergency? What if I really want to? What if I'm in the mood to eat a cat and it's been like 24 hours since I last ate food? Does that count? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should get to before we do this Disney thing. I'm like, I feel like I had something else. If it's an emergency, I might actually feed myself to the cat. I guess I'm pussy whipped. Could you? Okay, never mind. That was gonna be. Could you cut off like part of your own, like ass muscles, and then eat them? Anyway, I'm gonna stop pursuing that line of reasoning. We do have Transatlantic Call-In Show tomorrow. I am going to be on it. I don't know what's happening next week. I know that we're doing regular Takis on Thursday next week, but I am not on it. So, but I think that sometimes the line does some like giant holiday thing, but we have not heard any news about a holiday event. And I'm like, I'm kind of hoping we don't do anything because I do not want to stream on Christmas, even for my job with the line. But yes, I will be on tomorrow. And then I'm not sure. I think that would take more energy than it would provide. Yeah, because you'd have to like heal. You have to heal after like cutting off part of your body to eat it, and you'd potentially lose blood and everything. Yeah, I don't think that you could really sustain yourself by eating your own ass. Scream at ass. Eat own ass. You're such a good buddy. Oh, he definitely heard me, but he was like, I'm not looking at you, bitch. Sorry, sucks to be you. Hmm. Poor baby. Are we going to make it to 69 likes today? That's the question. That's the ultimate question. No, the ultimate question is, would you fuck that dragon? Entropy is a thing. You can never sustain yourself in a closed loop system. Well, I don't mean like long term. I just mean like temporarily. Can I temporarily sustain myself by eating my own ass? As a physicist, I can confirm eating your own ass is not thermodynamically sustainable. Yeah, but if I'm like trapped in a crevasse, in some insane situation I would never be in, because fucking catch me dead before you catch me somewhere near a crevasse. Although I guess I'm gonna go hiking at some point, so like maybe crevasses are gonna be in my future more. I tend to think of crevasses as a like snow thing, and I'm not really planning on doing like snowboarding, so I don't know. A lifetime of avoiding crevasses. Thembershode is the one dragon I must admire, even if he is definitely chaotic evil. I don't know which one that is. What is that? Yeah, thank God, a physicist is on the case. Thembershode? What is that? Oh, it's a Magic the Gathering thing. Okay, cool. Titled The Wormsmith of Gracklestug. Cool. Oh, he a big fat. Look at him. Look at him. Yes. Oh, what a chungus. Oh, I love him. This isn't the one from the movie, is it? Is this the one from the movie? Okay. I thought that this dragon. I thought that when people were talking to me about the dragon from the D&D movie, that was a female. So that's why I got kind of confused. I can't wait to do the D&D movie. That's gonna be fun. Now the cat is screaming from the other side of the house. He's gonna be lucky if I don't get him and pick him up again. The real question is, can you eat your own fat to redistribute it? I don't think so. That's a great question, though. That is not Smaug. That is Fat Smaug. Look at him. Thembershode? Chungus. I love him. Excuse me. I feel like even if you end up not liking the movie, you will like the Thembershode moments. The D&D movie was really good. It felt true to the rules. Yeah, I've heard great things about it. And I did watch a scene from it. I think I was watching like Corridor Crew doing they were doing a CGI review, and they did one kind of big long it's a single take, quote unquote, like tracking shot or something, where a druid is shapeshifting. So it seems good. Actually, the druid wild shapes too much. Well, my knowledge of druidry comes from World of Warcraft, where you can wild shape infinitely so long as you have mana. So, take that. Oh my god. My face is very itchy. It's like having a cat right in your face almost makes it like itchy because of cat hair or something. It's crazy. But yes, I look forward to that. I actually am. I solicited comments so I recorded the video today for Will and Harper, and I said at the end of Will and Harper video that like, okay, so my next project is going to be a dragon review, but I haven't decided which video I'm going to review yet or which movie. I was thinking I would start with Dragonheart, just because it's kind of a classic. But if people have strong opinions elsewise, assuming they watch to the end of that hour-long video, I think they just really wanted to shoehorn an owlbear in. Listen, as a caster spec druid originally, I am also partial to the owlbears. Big fan. The movie bends the D&D rules in ways that are good for the scenes, and TBH, I would let a high enough level druid become an owlbear even though it's a monstrosity and thus not technically a valid wild shape. Owlbears are a monstrosity instead of just like a normal animal? Oh man. The druid wild shape's just right. It's the D&D rules that are wrong. True. I'm excited. Yeah, I would like to see that movie. I like oh no. Oh no. No, no, no. My brain. That one's Chris Pratt, right? Is that Chris? No, that's not Chris Pratt. No. It's another Chris. Help me. Owlbears are considered magical beasts. It also bases some parts of scenes on the actual rules. Yeah. Also, the rule of cool is true to the game. If it's cool, then it's permissible. Yes. What is this dude's name? Chris Pine. Jesus Christ. Thank you. Chris Pine. I like him. And I think that he makes good movies for the most part. Oh my god, my face is just not going to stop being itchy now forever. I just love this Chungus Among Us. I tire of the name Chris. Yeah. Like, Chris, and then this is not as common in the film industry. Just me as a human person, I know too many Justins. There's so many Justins. Anybody else? What is the name that you've heard 8 million fucking times in your life? I know so many Justins that a lot of them just go by like initials. You know? I heard the D&D rules are wrong and my ears perked up. Yeah, that was Mira in the YouTube chat. Like, the druid wild shapes are just right. It's the D&D rules that are wrong. I knew someone who very much disagreed with the premise of the ways that arrows do damage in D&D. He was like, no. In my D&D runs, we do arrow damage differently because there's no way you're taking an arrow to the shoulder and then just kind of getting up and moving along. Like, it would hurt like a bitch and you would lose blood. It would not be a good time. I probably enjoyed the D&D movie too much because the 3 campaigns I have taken part in devolved into madness. Once I played a paladin where I convinced the DM to let me be a paladin of Loki that was chaotic neutral. Oh, that's fun. I love subversions. You know, you get used to the original like version and then you gotta subvert. You gotta get some variety in there. The only way to play D&D 100% by the Wizards published rules is to play Adventurers League. Everyone else does some house rules. Yeah, you gotta customize things a little bit. Chainsaw, are you way behind right now? Beet juice is kind of fire, but watch out for the rumbly and the tumbly after. Also, you can grow and eat beet greens even indoors. Makes a great option for salads and such. Nice. I've always been of the opinion that for a TTRPG, the rules are whatever you can get the people at the table to agree to. Yeah. If we're being pedantic, bow damage would be based on strength, not dex. Same with melee. Strength would affect all damage, and dex would affect all accuracy. Same thing with magic. Dex would dictate whether your magic attack actually hits. Oh, interesting. In high school, I was friends with like 5 different dudes named Adam. Yeah, every generation has like their different. I think it's Oliver for the younger kids now. Like, Oliver is becoming a very common name for like Gen Z. Or I guess, no, it's not Gen Z, it's Gen Alpha. Excuse me, it's Gen Alpha. Bows being dex weapons is a gaming tradition that makes no sense. Yeah, you have to be so strong. Like, dude, I was like absolutely just dived in to archery videos a few months ago, and they would like medieval longbows, not like hunting bows, but like longbows for the purposes of warfare. They're like 120 pounds. So that's, you have to be able to, it's like some mixture of pushing 60 pounds and pulling 60 pounds in order to, in a combined thing, like in order to draw one of these 120-pound bows, you have to like, push it up and then down, because that's like the only way you can get the strength, and then it's full draw, and then it, oh man, those things are so heavy. Yeah, a warbow historically started at 90-pound draw weights. Modern bows that you would use to hunt a deer are like 60 pounds, which is still pretty heavy for, I'm a skinny person, so. Jaden's, yeah. Yeah, it's almost like you couldn't expect an archer to be able to aim at gaps in armor on a moving target. Well, and as well, oh, thank you, Kitty. 1 second. They would also like shoot up. If you have a war bow, you're not shooting like at your target. You're shooting up. And so the strength of the bow is trying to get it farther away. It's not like attempting to pierce the armor. Of course, sure, as you close, there is some amount of like, yeah, it's armor piercing, but that was not the like primary purpose. Thank you, Kitty. um, Kitty says, "Grr at hours and no donos. What's in the box? Come on, guys, this is good content, and the dragon needs coins to move its lair." True. That was a gifted tier 2 sub for Padfoot. Thank you very much. And yes, we do. We want to find out what's in the box. I'm not super concerned this week if we don't get that many donations. I get it. It's fucking Christmas. Like, y'all are spending money on your families and your friends and your partners. Like, I get it. Next month, yeah, I think my last stream before I break my desk down is going to be like a big let's try to fundraise stream. So we'll see. Yes, exactly. Medieval bows were an area of effect weapon. The strength requires large numbers to blanket an area. Yes, that is the purpose of a warbow back in that time. Oh my goodness, what noise was that? What a weirdo. Okay, that was a $10 dono. I need a gifty. Throw Masa 50. True. So yeah, $10 dono. It's like I'm always gonna be very understanding, you guys. I want money, but I don't want to fleece you of your money, so that's the line we have to walk here. Bows are fun. I was just thinking too if I should put my bow away, cuz like I mean it's hanging out back here, but it's like, am I realistically going to go shoot in the middle of fucking winter? Kind of not. Like, I'm kind of thinking about putting it away, except that it is in the background of the streams, and I like that it is in the background of the streams. But like, I could always just move that and then put the guitar back where it originally was, which was right there. But yeah, I mean, and like my fishing rod too. I was thinking maybe I'll take my fishing rod and put it with all of our other fishing rods, because it's not doing much back here. But I don't know. Oh, that's cool, Drea. Gifted my brother-in-law a Tranarchy mug to thank him for being an ally. He was super stoked. Ah, that's cool. Yes, I think it's far too late if you were to buy something from my shop to get it sent to you before Christmas. But you know, shit, that's always an option. If you want to buy something from the shop, I got t-shirts. I got mugs. Warbos didn't even show a significant drop at Olympic shooting distances. You really aim mostly straight at targets within a football field on strong bows. Yeah. You're not really aiming. You're just kind of like, and then they all kind of go. There's also no such thing as knock, draw, loose. Like, that was not how it worked. You know, you just kind of would shoot. And especially, there's no such thing as draw, hold, loose. Like, that's not real. That's absolutely fake. Completely fake. Man, I'm so excited to move. My stream is going to be so much earlier for me. I'm going to be streaming. I don't know. I haven't really decided if I'm going to keep the timing exactly the same, because I could start at 2 p.m. and then be done at 6 p.m. But then I think I would expect myself to make dinner and that would suck. As far as I know, Takis is not going to change times when I move, so I'm going to be doing Takis at noon my time, which is kind of great, actually, especially because we've been going for like almost 4 hours recently. What a goober. He's making such weird noises right now. Lord of the Rings elves probably wielded 20-pound bows. Poor guys. I know. My bow is only 20 pounds. It's a little rabbit sticker. It's a little squirrel sticker. You know? It's not really good for much more than target practice and shooting wabbits. Wabbits. I did want to go hunting this winter, but I don't think it's gonna happen. At this point. I mean, I guess fucking maybe. I guess I could just haul my ass out some early Saturday morning and go do it, but I don't know if I'm going to. Yeah, the pole dancing archer. I know exactly who you mean. I love him. He's the best. I love him. No! Really, Viren? Oh my god. Viren says it's funny a few weeks ago to hear that Josie Caballero was one of the people that Riley Grace Rochon called a political hobbyist. What? Did she say that recently? Josie is... She, like, works on the Capitol. Like, that's her fucking job, is to go to these Democrat meetings and stuff. Like, the fact that Riley Grace can't even be like, yo, we both are working in politics, and that is valid. Okay, it was not recent. Okay, Jesus Christ. I did bring up Riley we were doing our preamble. We kind of joined the call before, we joined the call before the moment that Takis goes live. So Josie and I and Arden were talking about some stuff, and I brought up Riley Grace Rochon thinking that they did not know who she was, but they did. They knew who she was. I just think that's so funny. And like, yeah, Josie has done nothing but increase her influence since then. God, it was in the aftermath of the Doe incident. Okay. Riley Grace Rochon is just really good at burning bridges everywhere she goes. She is exactly the kind of trans person that I don't want representing us in politics. And yet, cheers to Maryland politics. Sorry that you have Riley Grace Rochon. It's not getting any better for you in that regard. She's not going anywhere. Strawberry rice wine. That's yummy. Josie mentioned it on Takis last month, I think. Okay, cool. It might have been an episode where I wasn't there. I'm not there for every single episode. I also don't really... Sometimes I will watch an episode when I'm not on it, but not very often. I mean, I'm like... On the Thursdays that I don't have Takis, I'm like, fuck yeah, I can do other things today. I got other shit to do. Occasionally there's been like, oh yeah, this person is gonna call back. Let me see if I can listen to that call because I was there the last time that they called and I want to know about what they say this time. Yeah. And then we ended up banning that guy permanently. So No more phone calls from Matthew from Ohio. Sad. Oh my god. Okay. Oh yeah. So this is something else that is trans politics oriented for a minute that I want to talk about, and then we'll do the Disney thing last, I guess. So in the UK, there's a new Crown prosecutory, like the Crown Prosecution Service, which is like the prosecuting office of the UK. They have new guidance, which is not like a law, it's just guidance. But of course, even if it's illegal guidance, that does not mean it's not going to be enforced. But there's this guidance intended to address, quote, deception as to gender, and how this is sufficient to vitiate consent when engaging in sexual activities. I'm assuming that vitiate means like to nullify in retrospect. That's kind of the impression that I get from the use of this word here. This comes from a case called McNally, where a girl who was not trans pretended to be a boy. Sorry, hold on one second. Ooh, okay. It's important to note that in McNally, the court specifically discusses the offense in terms of deception as to gender. Depending on the circumstances, deception as to gender can vitiate consent. In the law, gender and sex are interchangeable terms. However, sex in English law does not exclusively refer to birth sex, because, for example, obtaining a gender recognition certificate means your sex becomes your acquired sex, quote, for all purposes. Yet the Crown Prosecutory Service has decided, following numerous submissions from anti-trans activists, to draft its guidance with reference solely to birth sex, claiming that this was what was meant in McNally's case, despite, from what Jess can see, there being no legal justification for this. The CPS's discussion of the consultation responses obviously show that this has been unacceptably led by deliberate anti-trans framing from respondents. Most dangerously, following another case called Lawrence, the CPS has decided that a trans person's failure to disclose their birth sex to their sexual partner may be sufficient to amount to deception, which would vitiate consent. Which means a trans woman who lives as a woman, has a gender recognition certificate, has been stealth for decades, may be required to disclose her sex as recorded at birth to every sexual partner, or else risk being found guilty of a criminal sexual offense. This guidance seems to be extraordinarily broad and actively transphobic, but it remains guidance. It's not necessarily a reflection of the law itself, it's just the CPS's guidance on when to prosecute. And of course, Jess says, in my personal academic assessment, this guidance may be unlawful, but that means very little in practice. So, she also points out, I wish that there was a hover over so that I could see the bio. I can't remember Jess's pronouns. An important thing to note that I left out of this thread is that this standard applies to all sexual activity, not just penetrative sex, which is to say that trans people would be required to disclose their sex as registered at birth before even engaging in a first kiss. And obviously lots of people are worried about this. So basically, in the UK, they're changing the guidance to basically say, yeah, like trans people who don't declare that they're trans, even if they are fully integrated, fully assimilated, they've had bottom surgery, if they don't declare that they were trans at the time, or that they were born a different sex, whatever, before they even kiss someone, that is a sex crime. Like a crime of deception, like deceiving someone into having sex with you. Like a type of sexual assault or rape, basically. Which is obviously concerning. Because lots of trans people have just been living their lives. They're fully assimilated. Their former sex isn't really relevant to their lives. So the idea that you have to disclose before you can even kiss someone, or they might get you prosecuted for deceiving them into sexual activity, basically, How are they going to prove any of this? Yeah, well, that's the thing too, is like, if you are just accused of not disclosing, or if they say like, well, I kissed her and then I found out that she's trans, even if that is a lie, what's going to happen? Who's going to be believed? Not the trans person. We know how this goes down. We've already seen how this goes down. I just think that this is gonna reinforce T for T. That's it seems like that's the most natural consequence to this, is that people are just gonna go like, okay, well, if this is the situation, then I am only going to date other trans people who I am comfortable telling that I am trans. Like, why would I date a cis person if there's a chance that they could just spitefully say that I didn't disclose my status? Like, oh, we have a bad breakup? Okay, well, maybe if that person doesn't want to go so far as to kill you for being trans, they would be willing to ruin your life by claiming that you raped them, basically. Yeah, it just sounds like another way to throw trans people in jail. Oh, and not just to throw trans people in jail, but to throw trans people in jail for a sex crime, thus bolstering the statistics that people use against us, saying like, oh, well, all these trans people are sexual criminals. Like, okay, well, because you construct crime around us that makes it impossible for us to live without committing a crime. Again, that's what be gay, do crimes means. It means, like, at a certain point, just your simple fact of existence, very basic, like, dating is a crime. This is in the UK. This is the Crown Prosecutory Service. So here's the Rape and Sexual Offenses Legal Guidance page. Sexual Offenses Act 2003. Yeah, cps.gov.uk. This is the thing that sucks too about living in such a small country, is that you can just suddenly have, like, anywhere in your country, you doing certain thing is a crime. You can't even, like, man, it is one of the things that is great about living in the US, is that we have a big country with lots of different laws. And if I don't like the laws in this part of my country, well, I'm still a citizen in California if I want to go live in California. If you're in the UK, specifically if you're in Britain, you are not a citizen of Europe anymore. You can't just go to France if you like their laws better. Now, granted, it is if you live in Germany and you don't like their laws, you can hop over to France. But, like, Jesus, even then, is there a country at all in the world where they are basically trying to outlaw trans people? I mean, I think that basically trans people are outlawed in, like, some Middle Eastern countries, in the same way that gay people are outlawed in some Middle Eastern countries and some African countries. Oh, sorry. Is there anywhere in the world where they are not basically trying to outlaw trans people? Great question, actually. I mean, things seem like they're pretty okay in Sweden. They are harming people there by having very strict rules on the NHS of who can join or not. But yeah, it seems like it's a little bit less stringent. The downside is that a judge in Texas can make a sweeping ruling that affects Oregon. Are you referring to one in specific, Drea? Are we talking about the, like, when the Texas Attorney General requested information about trans people leaving the state of Texas to get care in Oregon? Is that the one? Because, like, I think for the most part, you can't do that. Like, that Texas can't make a sweeping ruling that affects Oregon unless it gets appealed up to the Supreme Court or something, maybe. Oregon can do the same thing and return to Texas. Fair enough, yeah. The Great Republic of California. I think I'm just going to start saying that. When I move, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I live in the Great Republic of California. No, I don't live in California State. I live in the Great Republic of California. We're going to secede someday. Or I guess it's more accurate to say, like, when the US government inevitably collapses, we will be the Great Coalition of California. Joining forces. I don't even know what else you can say about like the thing in the UK right now. Blech. What is that? That that was one of mine. It was not a cat hair. I was referring to the judge shutting down abortion pill access. By shutting down government approval of mifepristone, it hurt everyone in the US. I thought that the Supreme Court was still taking that. Like I didn't think that mifepristone was like um I didn't think it was completely illegal at this time. I know that there was still some active discussion. Let me see what the most recent news. What would the government collapsing even look like? Well, I mean, you're kind of looking at it. Oh, interesting. So I'm seeing this news article. Did you hear Sesame Street got canceled? Well, I know that guys, the government, like the power in the government hasn't changed over yet. So anything that they're talking about doing, they can't do until January 20th. So yes, but I did hear that they were talking about defunding Sesame Street and the USPS. But Ken Paxton sues New York doctor accused of prescribing abortion pills to Texas woman. This case sets up a legal battle between Texas's near total abortion ban and New York's shield law that protects doctors from out-of-state prosecution. Well, that seems pretty fucking cut and dry. Texas attorney Ken Paxton has filed a lawsuit accusing a New York doctor of prescribing abortion drugs to a Texas resident in violation of state law. Well, I don't give a fuck. I'm operating out of New York. I don't give a shit about your Texas law. The lawsuit is the first attempt to test what happens when state abortion laws are at odds with each other. New York has a shield law that protects providers from out-of-state investigations and prosecutions, which has served as implicit permission for a network of doctors to mail abortion pills into states that have banned the procedure. Texas has vowed to pursue these cases regardless of the laws, and legal experts are divided on where the courts may land on this issue, which involves extraterritoriality, interstate commerce, and other thorny legal questions last meaningfully addressed during the Civil War. Wow. Greer Donley, University of Pittsburgh professor, says, regardless of what the courts in Texas do, the real question is whether the courts in New York recognize these cases, I guess. In this case, Paxton accuses Dr. Margaret Carpenter of mailing pills from New York to a 20-year-old woman in Collin County. The woman allegedly took the medication when she was 9 weeks pregnant. When she began to experience severe bleeding, she asked the man who impregnated her to take her to the hospital. He had not been aware she was pregnant or seeking an abortion. The lawsuit does not say whether the woman successfully terminated her pregnancy or experienced any long-term medical complications. Mifepristone and misoprostol, which are the medications Carpenter is accused of sending, are more than 95% effective if taken before 10 weeks of pregnancy. Texas abortion laws prohibit criminalizing or otherwise going after the person who undergoes the abortion. So they can't go after the woman, but they can go after the doctor who prescribed the medication. I cannot stress enough how fucking chaotic it would become if they just let states sue each other for contradicting laws like this. Yeah, I mean, it's establishing something pretty crazy. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with this case. As I have said multiple times, I don't know what's going to happen with any of this shit. But, yeah, it's like, okay, you've made this illegal, but I live in fucking New York. I am not under the jurisdiction of Texas laws. I don't give a fuck what your laws are in Texas. I live in New York. It's legal to prescribe this medication in New York. I think the only question that could really come up here is that, like, there's the question of if you're licensed to practice in that other state. Like, we might be able to get that doctor on that particular point. Like, yeah, if your patient is in the state of Texas at the time that you prescribe the medication, that could be bending some rules, perhaps, you know? Like, I'm about to move and I'm probably going to have to find a brand new doctor to handle my long-term care because my doctor is licensed in the state of Kansas and not in the state of Oregon. And you have to keep up with each state's individual, like, requirements in order to maintain you. Like, there is no such thing as being a licensed doctor in all states of the union by de facto, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's all state by state, which was also the case when I was an electrician. Like, even if I were to be a journeyman practicing electrician in Kansas, well, if I don't have 4 years of work experience in Oregon, I can't be a journeyman electrician in that state. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, according to the complaint, Carpenter is not licensed to practice in the state of Texas. She is the founder of the Abortion Coalition for Telemedicine, which is a national group that helps doctors in states with shield laws provide telemedicine consultations and abortion pills to patients in states which have banned abortions. This group was founded after the overturn of Roe v. Wade by this woman Carpenter, Dr. Linda Preen, and Julie Kay, a former ACLU lawyer who successfully argued the case which overturned Ireland's abortion ban, which is incredible. They support doctors who want to become, quote, shield providers by advising them on licensure, data security, pharmacy contracts, and legality. Carpenter also works with Aid Access, an international medication abortion provider, and helped found Hey Jane, a telehealth abortion provider. Neither Carpenter nor Kay immediately responded to a request for comment. Of course, they're being sued. They're not going to talk to you right now. Their lawyers are saying, guess what day it is? It's Shut the Fuck Up Friday. You know? So yeah, that's going to be fascinating. In February, John Seago, who's the president of Texas Right to Life, told the New York Times that they were waiting for the, quote, right case. He says, we can definitely promise that in a pro-life state like Texas with committed elected officials and an attorney general and district attorneys who want to uphold our pro-life laws, this is not something that's going to be ignored for long. Lawyers who study closely these laws say that this is exactly the type of situation New York's shield law is designed to combat. New York's shield law exists to prevent Texas from having any ability to get someone in New York who is following New York law into Texas court in any way, says David Cohen. Yeah, so holy cow, it'll be interesting. I keep thinking you're drinking from a bottle of soju, but I figure it's tea. This is, yeah, it's rice wine. It's Jinro rice wine. Strawberry flavor. My partner brought it to me. Good to know they're straight up admitting to judge shopping. Yeah, but it's not illegal, so they can just do that. Oh, gosh. Crazy nonsense going on in this. Hey, we got to 69 likes. I only just now saw it. Nice. Very cool. Excuse me. Interestingly, New York law requires the state to refuse to order Carpenter to comply with Texas's court orders, which effectively would leave Texas with no defendant to bring the suit against. Interesting. So that's the most recent news on mifepristone and misoprostol. They are still legal in terms of like the whole country, but certain places have made them illegal. And so we are looking forward to some protracted court battles, which basically I think means that, I don't know, it's going to be interesting. Like, how do we think the Supreme Court would judge on that? If the Supreme Court wants to kill abortion rights, are they basically going to say that you can't have laws against extradition? Like, you can't have shield laws, basically? Because obviously that would be a pretty big kneecap. My hair is like Velcro right now. The side of my head, when I shave my head down like this, my longer hairs just stick to it like Velcro. It's crazy. Sesame Street was canceled by HBO, not the government. The show was sold to HBO a while ago. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh man, that's a bummer. We need public access television, y'all. Damn. Okay, so let's talk about Disney. Let's get that going, and then I don't know. We might shoot the shit for a little while afterwards, but we might also have a short stream. It happens, you know. Short shows. I feel like if you can't have shield laws, then the only remaining option is to cede. Listen, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if there is no respect for jurisprudence and like jurisdiction, meaning like certain laws apply in certain places, if New York has to follow Texas's law, then what the fuck is stopping New York from being like, okay, well, bet we are not going to be part of this country anymore? Like, I'm sorry, but if you're trying to force us, like, our jurisprudence has to bow to fucking Texas, like, no, dude. There's no reason to even be part of the country if you're not going to be able to set your own laws at the state level. Time for blue states to get creative, then there has to be something they could pass that targets red states directly. Yeah. What if New York passes a law that says you're required to give sex ed, you're required to give comprehensive sex ed and provide free condoms to all teenagers? Like, oh, guess what, Texas? We're suing you. You have to provide condoms to all teenagers who need them for free. And you have to provide them with quality sex education. Like, oh, you're saying that you live in fucking Texas and you want to be able to set Texas laws? Too bad. That's not how it works anymore. Seems insane. I'm not saying the system is perfect in that, like, you have different laws can be set in different places and they can be so dramatically different and your rights change the moment you cross state borders. Like, listen, I'm not excited about the prospect of having to use the bathroom in the state of fucking Utah. But, like, it's, you know, that just is the way that it is right now. True. What if Illinois sued any adjacent red state for putting Illinois citizens in jail for cannabis possession? Like, I'm sorry, that's a citizen of Illinois, and it's legal for them to have possession in the state of Illinois. So if you're going to... Apparently, it's super nice. I have some family who live in Illinois, and they're like, it's so nice to just be able to smoke on your porch and not have to worry about it. I'm like, it sounds cool, you know? Like, if I can enjoy a whiskey on my porch, why can't I enjoy a pre-roll on my porch? If we want to go crazy on state laws, knife laws are so wildly different from state to state. Ah, shit, yeah. I didn't even think about that. I guess, like, I have this, like, one... This is my main, like... If I'm like, boy, I have a knife, it's this one. But its blade is so short. Like, this is only, like, a 4-inch blade. Or actually, the sharp part itself is only, like, maybe 3.5 inches. But, like... I'm gonna have to pack this deep in the U-Haul, I think, in order to avoid any weirdness. It's so nice. I love this knife so much. Just kind of hiding there behind the chest. Illinois could target the red states allowing guns to come in. True, yeah. Like, oh, we're gonna sue all the red states around us because they're not bringing their best people. They're flooding our good state with guns and crime. You could make all kinds of fun arguments on this basis. God, we're about to descend into such insanity here. That knife is legal in Oregon. We have something like no folding knives over 5 inches or some such. Why would you even want a knife that folds that's 5 inches long? That's crazy. Like, like a 5-inch blade? Why? I don't. Anyway, whatever. I would rather just have that in a sheath. Strange. Anyway. Was going to go to a local activist meeting today, but executive dysfunction stopped me. Well, hopefully next time you will overcome the executive dysfunction. You know, hype yourself up a little bit, jog in place a little bit, get your blood going, and then you can go join the local meeting and wear a mask and insist that other people also wear masks. George Carlin quote, "We're all born into the freak show, and if you're from America, you have a front row seat." The older I am, the more I think that George Carlin was not on the mark with a lot of things that he was saying. He was not entirely wrong, but I'm like, I don't know, dude. You know, sometimes people quote George Carlin, and I'm like, did he really say that? Did he really say that? I don't like it. You know? Good gracious. I need to oil my gun so bad. And then, like, I honestly don't even know if I'm going to shoot again before moving, because I'm like, I do not like shooting at the indoor range, actually. Like, I'm not a fan of shooting at the indoor range. Could be wrong on the knife law. I just looked it up when I was going on a road trip back in 2016 and finally decided to just not take a pocket knife. Yeah, my Kershaw is like 3 inches long, I think. And that's my like pocket knife that I keep in my pants. Knife laws suck because I've always carried a utility multi-tool, but I don't always remember if I can, and I end up not bringing it. Yeah. Where is my knife right now? I think it must be in a pair of pants that I've worn recently. Or maybe it's just on my nightstand. Probably on my nightstand. But I just, you know, like a knife is a tool. I'm like, oh, I have a loose thread. Or like maybe I need to get something out from under my fingernails. Pocket knife. Like, how dare you try to tell me I can't carry a fucking pocket knife? Like, it's a last resort weapon, but it's not a weapon. Anyway. Okay, let's talk about this Disney thing, shall we? Ah! Okay. Disney. Okay, so from The Hollywood Reporter, Disney pulls transgender storyline from Pixar's Win or Lose streaming series. The original animated show about a co-ed high school team debuts on Disney Plus in February. Hold on one second. I've got a couple of things open here. Oh my god, there's so many things on this page. Okay, now it's bigger and you can see it. Okay. Pixar's original animated series Win or Lose will no longer include a trans storyline in a later episode. This is exclusive for Hollywood Reporter today. Whoa, get off of there. The series follows a co-ed middle school softball team named the Pickles in the week leading up to their championship game. Each of the 8 episodes center on the off-the-field life of one character and their point of view, whether that be a player, a parent, a coach, or an umpire. A spokesperson for Disney confirmed that the story arc was removed and provided the following statement to The Hollywood Reporter. When it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. The character remains in the show, but a few lines of dialogue that reference gender identity are being removed. A source close to Win or Lose said that the studio made the decision to alter course several months ago. However, Disney has declined to comment on any further details. Yeah. Yes, there's previous issues with them nixing LGBTQ content. Disney has continued to feature LGBTQ plus content in its more adult-focused fare, notably Marvel Television's Agatha All Along, Searchlight Pictures' All of Us Strangers, Next Goal Wins, and Fire Island, as well as FX's Pose, among others. The studio is far from alone in grappling with potential fallout from politically charged content. Again, just the existence of trans people is politically charged. And again, this has nothing to do with trans people. This is because Republicans have turned our existence into a politically charged issue. I've stopped using words like gender identity in the way it's used in the article, and I've started using transness. Yeah, sometimes that word applies, for sure. Didn't Disney recently settle some disputes with the Florida government? Maybe these are concessions. Maybe. The studio is far from alone in grappling politically charged content. All of Hollywood is bracing for what could be a tumultuous 4 years under the Trump administration. President-elect Donald Trump, who won in a sweeping victory last month, has routinely criticized diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and it's been widely reported that a number of businesses have started to pull back on DEI programming, a trend that underrepresented groups fear will only continue. This is what we say about, like, don't comply in advance. Don't give them concessions before they even ask for them. This is crazy. Oh no, that's so sad, kitty. I lost one of my favorite knives ever because it was just part of my whole life. I forgot that it was in my pocket when I was going to fly, and I was late for my flight, so I had to let the TSA have it. Fucking monsters, man. Excuse me. Yeah, so someone in the comments in Blue Sky said, I'm going to sound old here, but I remember a time where animated films or series were made to help children understand the world and learn about the different people in it. Now it's being made to shelter them from the world and leave it up to the parents, who are probably using this medium as babysitters anyway. Dude, I think that is one of the most spot-on comments I've seen. That, like, you know, this kind of art, children's media is a type of art. It's not being used to teach children in the way that it used to be. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be supplementary education. Parents are not generally expected to teach children everything they need to know. That's what kindergarten is for. I mean, yes, there is some expectation that kids know some basic things when they come into kindergarten, which apparently it seems like a lot of kids are not even meeting those basic standards. So it might be good in educating. It might be good to educate people of, like, hey, here's some things that you should talk about with your children before you send them to kindergarten. Like, you can't send a kid in diapers to kindergarten. They need to be potty trained, or maybe they should know some basic shapes or basic colors. But yeah, I think so many of these parents, I think the shittiest parents, like the most anti-trans parents, are also the parents who are like, I just need to sit my kid down in front of a tablet and then have them leave me alone for the evening. Just basically using it like a babysitter. What is the difference in Blue Sky between a reply and a quote post anyway? Oh, I mean, it's the same as Twitter. If you're familiar with Twitter, like, a reply is a thread under the original post, whereas a quote tweet is like you take the post and you make your comment like above it and you reference the original post by having it linked there. The main difference is that on Blue Sky, if you don't like the person who has quote tweeted you, you can unlink your quote tweet. So they're just saying something in response to nothing, basically. That's like the only difference, really. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard erasure stuff, I think. It's like pretty standard. We've just decided that this is too controversial and we're not willing to push back on it. And of course, it's like within the context of like, well, we don't want Donald Trump to make any legislation. Like, can you imagine how hilarious it would be if the Trump administration sued Disney for monopolizing the entertainment industry? I think that would be very funny. I think it would probably be a bad thing. I mean, but it's like that's the question of like how much of this market does Disney own? They own all the Disney princesses, they own all of these Marvel characters, they own the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It's wild to me how underprepared kids are usually for kindergarten. Like kids now do preschool, and what we did is now first grade stuff. Yeah, I think that there is kind of an epidemic of uninvolved parents. I'm not a parent myself in that way, so I don't know that I can really comment on that as like I don't have first person experience. My mother was very involved in my life. She made sure, of course, this was mostly pre-internet. My mother was very much like, oh, you know, if you're going to this friend's house, I need to meet them. I need to like meet their mom first. And I was mostly watching stuff that was around the house because there wasn't streaming services at the time. So like the movies that I had access to were movies that she owned. And she was pretty loose with like, yeah, I could watch stuff that some people would consider inappropriate for children. Like I loved the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I loved the Rocky Horror Picture Show so much that I received it as a gift in my Christmas stocking when I was like 2 years old. I got my own copy of the Rocky Horror Picture Show on VHS in my stocking when I was a baby because I loved that movie so much. And I would call Tim Curry the lady. Can we watch the movie with the lady? That was my conceptualization of that movie. You wonder why I'm the way that I am? That might be part of why. Um, but yeah, and like we would talk about art and we would talk about movies. And then I moved in with my dad, and that's when I got unfettered access to the internet. And my dad is an extremely neglectful parent. And I no longer had this, you know, let's make sure we talk about what you're experiencing. I want to know who you're dating. I want to know who you're talking to at school. Like, it was a very dramatically different. And like, yes, my mother was abusive, but I can at least appreciate that she gave a shit about what I was doing. And it kind of seems to me like nowadays parents are like too exhausted from work maybe to be part of their kids' lives. Like, and I don't mean to be a dick, but like one of my family members has a younger, like a younger teenage kid. And it seems like they don't have a lot in common. And also, it seems like this family member of mine is not particularly interested in having things in common with her kid because it's like, if you don't play video games, I guess, then you don't really value video games. So, you know, I even know people personally who like generally are very good parents, but are not particularly motivated to have things in common with their kids. And so I've always kind of felt like it's really important as like an older cousin or as an aunt slash uncle equivalent to make sure I'm connecting over video games with young people in my life. Even if it's not a video game that I play, I will listen to you talk about the video game that you like because I think that it's really important for kids to feel like adults care about what they're into. And this again is completely getting away from the topic, which is basically like, do parents not teach their kids enough in that first 4 years of their lives? Like our teachers expected to just cover everything. And so parents don't feel like a need. They're like, oh, everything you need to learn, you'll learn from school. So the kids are not buying books. Like I knew how to read when I was like 3. That's just because like I wanted to know how to read. I would sit there and read by myself. I was reading like Green Eggs and Ham when I was 3.5 years old. Like that's the earliest book that I can remember reading. And it's like, if I hadn't been so determined to learn that stuff, would I have just been late like so many other kids? Listen, teaching kids is hard. You have to trick them into learning, kind of, but when they are young, it's super easy to do. When they're older, make learning a part of video gaming and computer time. You have to play 2 hours of education to get 1 hour of regular games. Yeah, and of course, that's like the entire homeschooling premise is like, how do you trick kids into learning this stuff, basically? And why do kids hate school so much? Like, why is school so unfun that kids hate it, even as early as elementary school? Like, maybe because suddenly they have a bunch of rules and parents are not enforcing rules as much. Like, again, just expecting the behavioral stuff to be addressed by the school. Like, if your kid's a biter, you can't just send them to daycare and school and assume that everything's going to be great and the teachers are just going to deal with it. No, they're going to send that kid home and then you have to deal with the discipline there. There are so many amazing games out there that are co-ops so that parents could play with kids. Yeah, that's incredible. We need more of that, for sure. Excuse me. Lord have mercy. God, I'm so sleepy. Ugh. Yeah, like I'm saying it's capitalism, but I don't actually know. Like I'm kind of trying to find a reason why. Why do parents not bother teaching their kids anything between the ages of 0 and 4? Why are so many kids in kindergarten, age 5, coming to school still in diapers? Why do they not know their shapes? Why do they not know their colors? It's like it kind of makes sense to me if they don't quite know their letters yet, maybe. But like, why do kids not know these things? It's not because the kids are stupid. It must be because the parents are not teaching them. So then we're trying to come up with reasons like, why would a parent not teach this? Mountain eucalyptus with the mistel. Yeah, Kitty Tick, that was a pretty big fat finger moment. I'm glad that you corrected that. Padfoot says so many kids graduate illiterate today. It's messed up. I noticed the decline while watching Jeopardy with my grandma when I was 13. She was only high school educated and kicked ass at it. I mean, high school education used to be sufficient. And it's just not anymore. Like, it's so weird. I knew a teenager, he's an adult now, but a few years back when he was still in high school, like he was a sophomore and did not know fractions. And it's because of the whole no kid left behind thing where they're like, well, you just need to keep advancing the kid to the next grade, even if they don't understand stuff fundamentally. And at that point, no one had been like, yo, this kid needs to do summer school to cover this math stuff because it's clearly not coming through in the regular schooling. So that, like, basically I had a family member who was like, okay, I am going to teach you fractions because clearly, like, nobody bothered to teach you this and nobody gives a shit that you're just going to graduate not knowing it. I was a slower reader, but when it clicked hard, and I read everything. My first book that I read alone was also Green Eggs and Ham. I was 5, but I read Little House in the Big Woods by the end of that school year. Nice. High school might as well just be daycare for teenagers. Yeah, I feel like I just so narrowly escaped with a good education. Like I went to a high school that had some advanced placement options, and I do kind of feel like, again, like having someone expect things of you, I think is really important to your personal growth. Like people around you being like, get your elbows off the table, eat with your mouth closed, get your homework done as soon as you get home. When you're in school, you're going to behave, you're going to be quiet, you're going to pay attention. If you get a bad grade, you're going to be grounded, you're going to have something taken away from you. I want you to wash those dishes, and when you wash those dishes, they better be clean when they get done, or you're going to do them again. Like, it makes me feel like I'm one of those out of touch old people to be like, well, when back in my day we had standards, but genuinely, genuinely, I feel like there has been a change in the past 15 years where it's like, yeah, you need to actually have a standard and expect people to meet that standard, and if they don't, there needs to be some kind of repercussion so that they have the desire to reach that standard. The Bush program, I think No Child Left Behind hit when I was in middle school or early high school. I remember critical thinking questions were taken away in the fourth grade for being too, quote, hard. Yeah, I think I was in middle school um, when No Child Left Behind passed, if I remember correctly. Will elbows off the table is cringe AF. Sure, sure. I'm not trying to say that elbows off the table is a good standard per se, but it's just to be held to a standard at all. I think that the elbows on the table thing was because it's leaning over the table, and that tends to correspond to shoveling food in instead of sitting upright, and it's a little bit more proper or whatever. But it's okay, maybe at home that doesn't matter, but if you're trying to apply for a college scholarship, you cannot be in the habit of leaning forward and shoveling food into your mouth. To some extent, being taught the optics of propriety does get you in doorways that you would not be able to enter otherwise, like college scholarships, like getting an internship or whatever, you know? And setting certain things as a standard of every time you're at the table, you need to sit proper. And then later you can learn okay, if you're at a barbecue picnic or whatever, it doesn't really matter if you sit proper, but there will be a context in which this is a skill that you need to use. Part of it's also that conservatives have discovered that less school makes for a more pliant populace. Yeah, I guess fair enough. True enough. Kids definitely need discipline, but they need real discipline, not thinly veiled abuse. Right, but I feel like there's there's got to be a happy middle somewhere in here, right? Where I don't want to smack kids on the hand with a ruler for not holding their fork correctly or writing left-handed or something. But for it to go so far the other direction where you're barely expected to do your schoolwork, or the schoolwork is being made easier because you're bad at it or whatever, and the behavioral issues that I have seen people talking about, I've seen teachers talking about behavioral issues that have increased, of course, because of COVID brain damage, but yeah, I don't know, it seems crazy to me. I did camp counseling 2 summers. I was told I was too strict with the kids, but the kids loved when I had them because they knew I would stick to what I said the rules were. Granted, it was more activities than school learning, but the kids that I worked with loved that I was so disciplined with them and tried to help them in general. Kids need structure. They need structure. They need someone to provide them with limitations. I hate professionalism so much, but that's a whole thing. Yeah, no, I definitely think that professionalism is a type of church that people worship at. But it is a language that is important to know. You don't have to speak it per se, but you have to at least be familiar with its grammar, if that makes any sense. It's always been weird to me when I meet people that can't read or write in cursive. Yeah, I don't care so much if a kid can write in cursive, but they need to be able to read cursive. That's very important. A lack of education is a massive national security issue. We need an educated populace. So we need better wages for parents so they can help their kids, because I honestly think it's an exhaustion issue in play. Yeah. I mean, and it all, like, a lot of things factor into this. If you are so exhausted and you can't afford childcare and you don't live anywhere near your parents because, like, intergenerational housing is not considered acceptable or normalized, and, like, if you can afford daycare, it's again just a babysitter who is, they're not trying to developmentally challenge your children. Um, yeah, I think that a lot goes into that. And if you don't like your kids, if you were forced to have kids because of your religion or because the law in your area just didn't allow for you to get an abortion, if you weren't taught about birth control early enough. Mm, drink water. Giant water that I spilled all over me. Giant water. Giant, 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 giant water. Ah. Kitty says, I want everyone to remember who wrote No Child Left Behind. It was Hillary. They couldn't pass it in time, but Bush did sign it. I wasted my second grade taking hundreds of tests instead of regular class in 1996. Those tests created the Arizona Ames tests. The second breaking point came in 2008 when the teachers union, and to be clear, I love unions, overstepped. And while I agree teachers should be paid more, they took the ability to negotiate salary away from teachers, causing many master's level teachers to be let go from underfunded schools. Because if you weren't tenured, they could not afford you. Yeah, man, like, it would be great if we just provided things to people. Like, we need education. If we just paid teachers and we paid them a living wage and we actually supplied the things that they need in their classrooms, wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't it be nice? Oh, man. It's just so exhausting at a certain point. It's like, I mean, I'm so tired. And yeah, everything is connected. Everything is like interconnected in a way. I do want to watch this. I don't actually know if this is the case, but someone is claiming that this is the LGBTQ scene that was removed from the TV show that we're discussing right now. So let's watch it. Need my headphones. At least I think that there's audio in this. I don't actually know. Let's find out together. Okay, so a lot of that happened in the action notes. um, but basically, TLDR, the kid is like trying to figure out like, oh, how do I look? Do I need to go in the boys' bathroom or the girls' bathroom? And then their female friend is like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the girls' bathroom. I think this is a young trans girl. So her friend accompanies her into the girls' bathroom, and then her friend leaves, which is rude. Okay, if you're accompanying a trans person to the bathroom, stay in the bathroom for as long as they're in the bathroom. And then this younger kid comes in to use the female restroom, and like, this makes this kid become hyper aware suddenly of like what they look like and what they sound like, and they get really flustered and embarrassed and they leave. And I think on the phone call what happens is the dad says, oh, I'm looking forward to seeing my son. And that's when they start to become all disjointed during the phone call as well. And then the coach just being like, hey, I don't know what's going on with you, but if you need any support, I have it for you. Like, I cannot confirm whether this is real. This Twitter account says this was leaked on 4chan months ago, and I chose not to release it until today because we had no word from anyone on the Win or Lose team that it was removed until today, and I did not want to leak content that was potentially still in the show. So this was removed, but they weren't sure that it was going to be in it or not. Chanel Stewart says Disney called her last night about the removal of her character's transgender storyline in Win or Lose. They said my character would now be a straight girl. Okay, girl, tell me you don't understand without telling me you don't understand. It's like, okay, well, you can be trans and be straight. It's like, okay, whatever. Anyway, I was very disheartened. From the moment I got the script, I was excited to share my journey to help empower trans youth. I knew this would be a very important conversation. Trans stories matter and they deserve to be heard. Yeah, I think it's very sweet. And again, children's media is partially designed so like to teach children about different kinds of people, to empathize with different kinds of people, to understand complex issues. Like Inside Out, it's designed to help you understand that emotions are complicated and that they influence us throughout our lives. And like, didn't Disney just do Elementals, or was that not Disney? But like they tried to use allegories to teach about race and stuff. Like, I don't know. She should have maliciously complied, made her a straight trans woman. Well, at this point, it seems like she has already recorded her parts and that this is like happening after the actress has already been involved. Yeah, someone in the comments says, wait, they said straight? Are they really afraid to use the C word? That's crazy. But just a basic thing. And some people are pointing out that like this is relatable for many different people, so why did they cut this part? Like feeling embarrassed in a public restroom, very relatable. I don't know. Wait till the right figures out that all gems in Steven's universe are girls. Are there boy presenting gems? I mean, they're supposed to be like agender aliens that like to present themselves femme, right? I don't know. I watched like most of season 1 of Steven Universe. Is it worth watching more of that show? My partner was asking me like earlier this year if it was worth watching more of that show, and I was like, I don't know, man. It was fine. Like, it's fine. I don't know. It's like, am I gonna get into a whole other show? It's hard enough for me to get my partner to do things like watch 8 episodes of Invincible. I'm so excited that there's a new season of Invincible coming out. I love that show personally. I mean, yeah, people love it. Here's the thing too. In my personal life, in my own interpersonal interactions, the kind of people that are super stans of Steven Universe are in fucking sufferable. I associate like the kind of people who I was friends with at the time were the kind of SJWs that I would not want to be friends with today. I'm like, you people with the policing constantly and the purity culture constantly and all this, like, I find you fucking insufferable. Not you, chat. That group of people. So I guess I kind of associate Steven Universe with like insufferably irritating woke scold behavior. So I don't know, man. Steven Universe depicts PTSD and had an uncensorable gay wedding, and the second reason is why it was canceled, or the second portrayal is why it was canceled. Fun. It gets really good, and I cried at the end. Was not ready for the feels trip. I know. All he wants to do is see you turn into a giant woman. Giant woman. I did watch that episode. Last season of The Dragon Prince drops tomorrow. I didn't like The Dragon Prince. First of all, I did not like the animation style. And second of all, why don't you try to be your own show? Instead of dropping constant Avatar The Last Airbender references, just do your own thing. Instead of the constant, insufferable references to a show. Oh, you remember that other show that you liked a lot? Well, we have some of the same writers and voice actors. So, yip yip. Like, okay, fucking get over yourselves. Jesus Christ. It's also pretty fast to watch Steven Universe with short double episodes for kids. No worries, Dally. I'm getting close to the end anyway. You're good. When you were talking about background music earlier, has anyone brought up Pirate Software's Heartbound? All the music from that game is free to use, and Thor and Shay are both cool people who have gone out of their way to run a ferret rescue and make their game inclusive for dyslexia and colorblindness. Nice. I'm probably not going to use any video game music for, I just, probably I'm just not going to do it, but maybe at some point in the future, potentially. Like, I really love the music from Ori and the Blind Forest, and I think that I even bought the OST at one point, but it's like, I don't know, it just feels like not the right vibe for my show. I don't know, we'll find out. Things may change over the next few months. I have no idea. There's all kinds of shit that, like, I could see myself using video game music maybe for my videos. I'm not sure for stream uploads, though. We'll see. But Heartbound. Heartbound from Pirate Software? It's free if you spend $15 on the OST. You can use as much as you want with zero fear of demon. Zero fear of demon. Kitty, I'm going to use that the next time I'm worried about copyright. Zero fear of demon. Jesus. I have 95 fear of demon right now. Noah's asking if I loved Adventure Time and Gravity Falls, would I probably like Steven Universe? My partner and other family members have also been trying to get me into Adventure Time, and I'm just like, I don't care very much about this. I'm sure it's great. I just don't care. But I guess I could probably put it on in the background and get through a lot of it pretty quick, and then I would get the fucking references. I get a lot of references anyway. Like, oh, the first step to being kind of good at something is being bad at it. Like, okay, I get it. Thanks, Jake. I probably just used the wrong name, too. I'm triggering you. I'm triggering you. Aha, triggered libs. I'm like, yeah, Jake the dog and Finn the human. I was right. It's Jake. See, I know things. First season of Dragon Prince, they kneecapped themselves with their animation frames. Second season onward, they fixed that. But if you don't like the 3D art, then it definitely won't be your cup of tea. Yeah, I think it maybe was the frame rate that really bothered me. But I don't know. It was mostly the insufferable constant references to Avatar The Last Airbender. That was the main thing. But I'm entering my actually watching media arc, so maybe I'll watch some of this stuff. I've watched so many movies and videos recently that I normally would not be into. Like, just randomly deciding to watch The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and then watching a bunch of video essays, like, relevant to that point. And yeah, it's definitely been kind of interesting and enjoyable. I'm probably going to try reading more, too. So... okay, let me see if there's anything else. Oh, we've had our first case, our first severe case of H5N1 that's been acknowledged in the United States now. It's not a human to human transmission, though, because the person had contact with dead and sick birds as part of a backyard flock, which does not make me feel very confident about someday um, having my own birds in the backyard. Like, how do you prevent birds in your yard from getting avian flu? I'm not really sure that there is a good way. I'm liking Beast Stars right now, hoping to get to season 3. The style is a little hard to get used to sometimes. Beast Stars is that one weird series where it's like a wolf is in love with a rabbit, right? I remember Jack Saint doing a video about that a long time ago. Daddy, why did you eat my fries? Adventure Time has a pretty intense lesbian relationship arc in the whole show. Okay, that's a compelling argument. Okay, if we're being real, lesbianism, compelling argument. Girls. I did not like Beastars. Okay. Girls. That's a fun joke. Beastars was the perfect minimum of quality for me to watch all of it, but to not enjoy any of it. Oh my god. Beastars is like Zootopia, where the carnivore loves the herbivore. I'm looking forward to finally getting to watch Arcane. Is Arcane good? It's like based off of League of Legends somehow, right? I keep seeing Netflix try to push it on me when I'm getting on Netflix to rewatch Will and Harper. Beastars has some interesting metaphors and identity exploration. Man, there's so many things that I should watch. So many shows. You might be able to convince me to watch a show with like a few seasons, but you're not going to convince me to watch Supernatural, okay? You're not going to get me to watch Supernatural. I won't do it. I won't do it. You can't make me do it. I'm not going to do it. I heard that Arcane is really good. Yeah. Arcane is good but has a bad ending, IMO. Started great, gets less good into season 2. Okay. That's always the way, isn't it? I cannot believe that Warcraft 3 mod turned into such a wild world. Are you referring to World of Warcraft? It all started with Dota. Man, I haven't thought of Dota in a long time. The animation style of Arcane reminds me of my favorite episode of fuck, what's it called? Is it Eat Love Robots? Is that what it is? Eat Love Robots? Is that it? No, Love, Death, and Robots. That's what it's called. The Edge is the one that it's called. And I don't want to spoil it, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. More Sam and Dean for me then. Yep, they're all yours, babe. Enjoy that threesome. If Supernatural was half as long, I might be more tempted to recommend it, but it's so many fucking episodes that unless you're a super fan, you will probably fall off. Yeah, I don't want to watch 14 episodes, or sorry, I don't want to watch 14 seasons of anything. Eat, Pray, Robot, fucking true. Love, Death, and Robots, The Edge. Can we get some screenshots, please? Yeah, like, this reminds me, like, Arcane reminds me of this. episode. Like this kind of animation style. I don't know. I don't watch Markiplier that much anymore, but I love The Edge of Sleep. I watched a couple episodes of The Edge of Sleep, and then I really didn't like how they do that thing where in horror movies they sometimes just have like a bunch of flashing images of graphic things. And then I stopped watching it because I was like, wow, this is stressful. I love Mark, but I'm not going to watch that. Dude, watch Murder Drones on YouTube. It's like 8 episodes and fire. Okay. Murder Drones. Murder Drones. A Breath of Fresh Air. Murder Drones. From Glitch. Interesting. New episode of TADC. What is TADC? Hold on. Did I miss something? Dota was before WoW and it was a real-time strategy game. People made maps like StarCraft, and Dota started as a mod map forever ago. Nice. Fun times. I think it's crazy that the oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? The plot premise of Warcraft 3 turned into World of Warcraft. Like the whole idea of Arthas and Jaina Proudmoore and the Lich King and the Undead. Like, yeah, it was pretty interesting. The Amazing Digital Circus. Oh, okay. I was not familiar with the Amazing Digital Circus. The All Day Chameleon. It's a YouTube show everyone is crazy about. Okay. And it's made by the same people that do Murder Drones. Fascinating. I'm assuming that this is like, I reminded y'all of this from mentioning Love, Death, and Robots. Okay. You totally gotta watch The Amazing Digital Circus. It's only 4 episodes and free to watch. Okay, I'll open it and try to fit it in over the next couple of days. Oh, North of the Border. I made The Little Mermaid, but it's wrong. No. The Amazing Digital Circus. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh god, this animation style looks like it's gonna make me want to fucking slit my wrists. Oh no. Warcraft 3 is why I played so much WoW. I played so much Warcraft 3 and it was just kismet as a kid. I mowed lawns and did odd jobs year round to pay for that sub. True. True. I'm spending more money on World of Warcraft right now in the last couple months than I have spent on video games the entire rest of the year. But it's worth it because I'm playing it kind of a lot. This is the animation style that I realized when I was midway through saying it that might not be appropriate, but it makes me look like I would want to slit my wrists. Like I just want to kill myself looking at that art style. I'm like, wow, that's horrible. But I'll watch it. If it's only 4 episodes, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you, chat. Just for you. Even though I only got 1 donation today, I'll do it for you. Jeez. Yeah. Speaking of World of Warcraft, I think maybe I'm going to go do that now. Maybe I'm going to go play World of Warcraft. And maybe I'll watch The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for a 5th time in the past week. I had trouble with 80 Circus animation style too. Yeah, I'm just looking at it and it looks like it's gonna be like, Okay, well, I think that's it for me tonight. Love y'all very much. I'm planning to see y'all on Sunday. And no stream next week on Wednesday. Oh, and I will see you also on Takis tomorrow. I'll post a link in the Discord if you want to watch the Transatlantic Call-In show. I can't remember who I'm on with. It might be Ben. It might be Arden. I think it might be Arden. But anyway, come watch us if you want to see us argue with transphobes, etc., as we are wont to do. And until then, I hope that you are well. I hope that you behave, or that you at least don't get caught. Okay, much love. Good night, good night, good night, good night.